Chapter 121, C-121 Amazing Mutation. Yi Junlin shook his head and put away the Kangyuan sword. At the same time, he snapped his fingers, and the other two clones disappeared. Finished, call it a day. Yi Junlin turned around and left with a nonchalant look on his face. You're letting us go now? Elder Longxiang was very surprised. It was the opposite of what he expected. Donor Yi, you are, Elder Qingjing said in surprise. As Yi Junlin walked, he stretched out his hand and scratched his butt. Why are you making such a fuss? I have received 9 years of compulsory education and am a high-level intellectual. I still have some sense of right and wrong. You are not the culprit, not even an accomplice. You were just dragged in inexplicably. Since that old bald donkey is dead and your hanging temple has paid the price, the rest is up to you to deal with. Well, that's it. Bye. Hearing this, the expressions on the two people's faces were stunned. They didn't quite understand what was said in the beginning, about 9-year compulsory education and high-level intellectuals, but they could understand the meaning of the latter part. In short, this person didn't intend to vent his anger on them. He emphasized that every grievance should be punished. Now Suyun is dead, and the vitality of the hanging temple is seriously damaged. This can be regarded as retribution. Looking at the handsome back, Elder Longxiang and Elder Qingjing put their hands together, and were deeply touched. They sighed. Amitabha, Mr. Yi convinces people with reason. We admire him. Bai Shaoxi hurriedly ran towards Yi Junlin with his short legs. Master, wait for me. It was not interested in fighting in the first place, and now it can leave here, not to mention how happy it is. The big Mushroom King followed closely as if he had been pardoned. Is it over? Hong Chenyi's eye muscles twitched, and he felt unsatisfied. If he follows his usual style, he will definitely slaughter all the monks in the hanging temple, and burn the scriptures. No matter what is right or wrong, he will have fun first. Clang! Li Wuji decisively sheathed his sword. He would obey any order of the master unconditionally. Brother Hong, we have to go. Don't make the master unhappy. Li Wuji reminded him with good intentions. HMPH, do I still need you to teach me? Take care of yourself first. Hong Chenyi rolled her eyes and walked past him with her arms folded. Li Wuji shrugged and followed. During this period of time, he has become accustomed to the strange temper of this senior brother. He is not very friendly to his fellow disciples, but when facing the master, his attitude will change 180 degrees. Perhaps, this is the deep love between master and disciple. Akun, Yi Junlin shouted, but got no response. Take a closer look. Kunpeng, who was originally suppressed, had fallen asleep at some point, and did not even notice the disappearance of the 5-finger mountain pressing on him. Master, Kunken is sleeping so soundly. Bai Shaoxi said. Yi Junlin was speechless. How could he sleep at this age? Akun, Yi Junlin shouted again, and his voice shook the sky. The beautiful dream was broken, and Kunpeng woke up, vibrating his wings violently, with sand and rocks flying around, and strong winds. Good guy, this is a morning grump. But when he found that it was his master who was calling him, Kunpeng immediately calmed down, flew over with a guilty conscience, and rubbed Yi Junlin's arm with his big head. Okay, I know what you mean, pay attention next time. Yi Junlin said unhappily. Then, a group of people climbed on Kunpeng's back. Kunpeng called a few times happily, and his body returned to its original size, covering the sky and the sun, and flew towards the depths of the sky. At this time, the outside world is paying close attention to the situation in Fantuo Mountain. Because the battle on the mountain was too terrifying, the energy released tore through the void, so many people dared not come forward, and could only watch from a distance in fear. Look, what is that? Hiss, this is the Mount of the Tribulation Realm. It seems that the big guy has finished his work and came out. Does this mean that the battle is over? What I care most about is whether the Hanging Temple has been destroyed. The various forces in the Pure Land Kingdom were talking. Countless divine consciousnesses intertwined and wandered outside the Fantuo Mountain, but they did not dare to extend into the mountain. After all, at this critical moment, it is the most sensitive time. What if the Hanging Temple is still there? It would be an offense for them to do so. After so many years, the Hanging Temple has remained standing, and the Pure Land Kingdom has had several changes of dynasties before, but every time a new country was established, the rulers of the country would continue to respect the Hanging Temple. It can be seen that its status and influence are great. Therefore, before they were fully sure, the various forces in the Pure Land Kingdom did not dare to explore in depth, fearing that they would offend this holy place of Buddhism. On Mount Fantuo, the monks cleaned up and cleaned the battlefield with grief. Many fellow disciples died in this battle, and the temple was seriously injured. It was the biggest shock it had ever suffered since its establishment. But now, they have no complaints. Everything is the fault of the Hanging Temple. Everyone, although the abbot has passed away, as long as Elder Longxiang and Elder Qingjing are here, I believe that my Hanging Temple can still restore its glory. An elder said to comfort his disciples. The atmosphere was very depressing and dull. In fact, everyone knew in their hearts that after this altar was messed up, the inside story would soon spread, the reputation of the Hanging Temple was completely destroyed, and the halo of the Buddhist holy place was probably going to be taken off. Restoring glory, how easy is it? Elder Longxiang sighed. Now, we are very busy. Yes, but we must swallow this bitter pill. Elder Qingjing said bitterly. In fact, we are also responsible for the Shuangkong Temple to this day. If we had known better, we should not have let it go and spent time in seclusion. Hey, it's too late to say anything now. Elder Longxiang shook his head. Suddenly he seemed to feel something, his eyebrows were beating sharply, and there was a strong crisis in his heart. Who's there? Get out! Elder Longxiang shouted violently, his voice containing the Buddhist lion's roar skills, causing the sand and dust to roll. Huh! Elder Qingjing also realized something, and was shocked and angry. How dare someone take advantage of this moment to sneak into Mount Fantuo secretly? The most important thing is that there is more than one opponent, and judging from the captured auras, several of them are even in the tribulation realm. Buzz! There were ripples in the void. Figures walked out one after another. They were uniformly dressed in black robes, and their faces could not be seen clearly under the brim of their hats. Haha, the 3 saints of the Hanging Temple who were so powerful in the eastern region in the past, now you two are the only ones left. What a twist of fate. The middle-aged black-robed leader, with his hands behind his back, spoke in a mellow and magnetic voice. What the hell, you're so sneaky, rats from nowhere dare to run wild in the Shuangkong Temple. Elder Longxiang's voice was like a bell, and he hit the ground with a demon-suppressing stick in his hand. He puffed up his chest and glared ahead, but he was secretly worried in his heart. At this time, his condition has hit rock bottom, how can he still have the ability to face the enemy? You can only rely on bluff. Master Longxiang, your temper is still as irritable as ever. Just like when the top 10 immortal sects met in the Eastern Territory, you were spitting out fragrance at the scene. Thinking about it now, it is really a time of great changes, things and people have changed. Middle-aged black robe sighed. You, who are you? Elder Longxiang's pupils shrank into needles. To be able to appear on that occasion, he must have seen it before, and his identity is also a high-ranking senior member of the immortal sect. The middle-aged man in black robe sneered and formed a seal with one hand, and a huge grey curtain enveloped the Hanging Temple. The next second, the men in black robes behind them immediately moved towards the remaining monks. The cold murderous intent swept through, filling every inch of space. Stop! Elder Longxiang and Elder Qingjing wanted to stop, but were suppressed by the power released by the middle-aged black robe. They could not kneel on the ground, their hearts filled with humiliation, and they gritted their teeth. Now they have no energy left to fight. You can only let others slaughter you. Screams and wails filled Mount Fantuo, but under the isolation of this grey curtain, these sounds could not reach the outside. Ah! The remaining elders and disciples of Shuangkong Temple were ruthlessly slaughtered by this group of black-robed men. The ground was dyed red with blood, and the scene was like a hell. Who are you? Why did you do this? Did my Shuangkong Temple offend you somewhere? Elder Longxiang and Elder Qingjing said sadly and angrily. The middle-aged man in black robe shook his head. No, we are even allies. Unfortunately, in front of the next plan, your Shuangkong Temple is too annoying, so we can only take this opportunity to get rid of you. Alliance, ally, the two of them felt like they were struck by lightning, their brains spinning rapidly. Currently, there is only one who can declare an alliance with the Shuangkong Temple. You are. The sound stopped suddenly. The middle-aged man in black robe suddenly stepped forward and grabbed their throats with both hands. Under the brim of his hat, a cold smile appeared on his lips. You too, let's follow that self-righteous old guy on his way. Boom! The vast ocean of mana suddenly poured out. Elder Longxiang and Elder Qingjing were each shrouded in silver light. Their faces were in pain, their eyes were full of despair, their bodies were covered with cracks, and strands of blood were flowing away crazily. Bang! With an explosion, both of them were reduced to ashes and completely destroyed in the world. The middle-aged man in black robe slowly stretched out his hand, and the incomplete relic transformed by Shu Yun flew from the ground to the palm of his hand. If you were still here, I might consider bringing you in, but it's a pity that you suffered this disaster. As for the remaining two, they will definitely stop this plan, so, haha. When he clenched his hands and released them again, the relics in his palms had already turned into powder and dissipated in the wind. The massacre continues. After an unknown amount of time, there was no one left alive in the Shuangkong temple. Rivers of blood flowed, and the smell of blood hit your nostrils. Looking at the dead ancient temple in front of him, the middle-aged man in black robe put his hands behind his back and said coldly, "From now on, there will no longer be a Buddhist holy place like Shuangkong Temple in the eastern region." Zong, a subordinate behind him, wanted to speak, but was frightened by the look of the middle-aged man in black robe who turned his head. He quickly changed his words. "Sir, over there in the Pure Land Kingdom, should we take action now?" The middle-aged man in black robe had an expressionless face. "Don't worry, a team has already passed by. The Pure Land Kingdom is part of the plan and must be captured." As he spoke, he looked up at the sky, his eyes dark and unclear, and said in a meaningful tone, "Kunlun realm will fall sooner or later. The eastern region is just the beginning. Our ancestors are right, only by following the general trend can we survive. Even if the cards are reshuffled, our orthodoxy can still continue and even flourish." So, nothing wrong. Chapter 122. C-122 Internal and External Cooperation. Father, what happened to the Hanging Temple? Do we still need to respect it? I'm afraid that the world's Zen practitioners will soon unite to boycott the Hanging Temple. I think the Pure Land Kingdom should make plans early. On the attic, the second prince said to the middle-aged man in a deep voice. "Yes, father, the name of the Buddhist Holy Land has really been ruined by those bald donkeys. I saw that Senior Yi and his men had left just now. I guess the Hanging Temple lost this battle. If you ask me, we should take advantage of his illness to kill him. We might as well send troops directly to put those bald donkeys in jail and choose a day to deal with them." The eldest prince on the side was very excited, his fists clenched tightly, and his voice was sonorous and powerful. In the past, the Hanging Temple was sacred in their hearts, and its status was high above them. They didn't dare to offend it at all. But now, this cognition has been broken. They have escaped from death. Seeing that the Hanging Temple was suspected to be suppressed, they want to wait for an opportunity to counterattack and take revenge. Seeing his two precious sons acting so radically, the king of Pure Land shook his head. "You think too simply." Although he was shocked by the true face of the Hanging Temple and was very angry about the abbot's behavior, he was afraid of being confronted with this immortal Taoist tradition that had existed for thousands of years. As the ruler of Pure Land, he was actually very scared. Even if the Hanging Temple survived this storm and was seriously injured, he still understood the principle that a lean camel is bigger than a horse. If he really wanted to send troops to attack Mount Fantuo and eradicate the Hanging Temple, the king of Pure Land thought that such behavior was not advisable. What if they had reached an agreement and stopped there? In the final analysis, the king of Pure Land did not think that Yi Junlin had the ability to suppress the Hanging Temple. After all, that was their home ground. How could there be a possibility of a disastrous defeat? The reason why he drove Kunpeng away later was probably because the conditions were agreed and he stopped there. So, when he saw his two sons so impulsively wanting to turn against the Hanging Temple, the king of the Pure Land Kingdom sighed secretly. It seems that he still hasn't practiced enough. At this time, Princess Mingyu stood on the corridor, and through the viewing ball in her hand, she remotely checked the movements of Fantuo Mountain and found that the top of Fantuo Mountain was covered by a layer of grey curtain, as if it was isolated from the outside world. This abnormality gave her an ominous premonition. Suddenly, there was a movement outside. Princess Mingyu looked up and was stunned by the scene in front of her. A chill ran down her spine and rushed to the top of her head, as if to open her skull. I saw that above the palace, there were dense black-robed figures. They flew quickly like locusts, and the murderous intent they condensed spread out. There are foreign enemies invading the palace. Stop them. The guards from all over the place were terrified, and they picked up their weapons and rushed towards the black-robed team. Kill, leave no one alive. The cold voice was like the cold ice of the underworld, echoing in all directions. This group of black-robed people had a strong aura, and the magic weapons they held were of extraordinary grade, completely crushing the guards of the palace in all aspects. A bloody massacre began. Ah! Screams and wails came one after another. There were corpses all along the way, and the palace was full of blood. "Father, what's outside?" The eldest and second princes couldn't believe it. The king of Pure Land was shocked and angry, and all kinds of possibilities flashed through his mind. Is it a traitor, or an invasion by foreign enemies? Swish! Accompanied by a colorful beam of light that shot straight into the sky, the king of Pure Land appeared above the palace wearing a glazed crown and fluttering clothes. The angry voice was like thunder, with the majesty of an emperor. "Who is it? How dare you break into the palace and kill people? At the same time, the eyes of the king of Pure Land shot out golden light, and invisibly, the vast national destiny blessed him, and his realm was raised from the perfection of Mahayana to the middle stage of the crossing tribulation realm. The powerful and terrifying pressure instantly enveloped the palace, and many black-robed people who were still making trouble were immediately shocked by this breath and could hardly move. Just when the king of Pure Land raised his hand to kill them on the spot, a momentum that was not weaker than his own burst out nearby. Several majestic murderous intentions locked onto him firmly. How is it possible? The king of Pure Land's eyes widened, and cold sweat overflowed from his forehead. The other side actually had several crossing tribulation realm cultivators. To be able to dispatch such a large number of strong men at one time, it must not be a local force in Florida. I'm afraid it's a giant in the eastern region. But here comes the question. Where did the Pure Land Kingdom offend them? Is it necessary to go to this extent? Boom! The sky suddenly darkened and became dark. The four black-robed figures with the aura of the tribulation realm surrounded the king of Pure Land from the four directions of southeast, northwest and northeast. Under the brim of the hat was a face full of murderous intent. The king of Pure Land suppressed his inner fear and gritted his teeth and said, I advise you to retreat quickly. The Buddhist Holy Land is in the capital. This is to move out the Hanging Temple in an attempt to make these people retreat. To be honest, the weight of the Hanging Temple is still very heavy, which is why the Pure Land Kingdom is willing to be in a lower position, because it can accept shelter in disguise. As a result, when hearing this, these people not only did not feel afraid, but laughed mockingly. Hanging Temple. It no longer exists from today. The head of the king of Pure Land was buzzing. For him now, this is not good news. Why waste time talking to him? Kill him and bloodbath the palace. Our mission will be accomplished. One of the accomplices sneered. That's right, do it. In an instant, the four men in black robes who had transcended the tribulation realm shouted loudly and cast spells together to besiege the leader of the Pure Land Kingdom. Not good. The leader of the Pure Land Kingdom was forced to resist. His body was covered with golden Sanskrit inscriptions, the sound of Buddha was whispering, and the light of Buddha illuminated the sky. The royal family of the Pure Land Kingdom was deeply influenced by Buddhism, so they focused on Buddhist techniques. With the blessing of national luck, he could barely deal with these four people, but his advantage was quickly disappearing and it seemed very difficult. HMPH, this guy has a national destiny to back him up, so it's really tricky. A tall man in black robe said coldly. Everyone, please work harder, his national fortune is being consumed, and it is impossible to stop our attack from behind. Said his companion with a ferocious smile. Aha! The leader of the Pure Land Kingdom had a painful face, his whole body was squeezed extremely painfully, and strands of blood flowed from the corners of his mouth. Father! Witnessing this scene with their own eyes, the eldest prince and the second prince's eyes were filled with tears. Why is this happening suddenly? Princess Mingyu cried anxiously, pearl-like tears sliding down her delicate and flawless cheeks. Quickly, leave the Pure Land Kingdom quickly. The further away the better, hurry up. The leader of the Pure Land Kingdom used all his strength and roared hysterically. You go over and kill those people. Don't leave even half of them alive. This is the task assigned by the sect master. The tall black-robed man said solemnly. Hey, don't mention the sect leader outside. If he finds out about this, we won't be able to live with it. A companion quickly reminded him. The tall black-robed man realized his slip of the tongue and sneered. Don't worry, these people will definitely die. Swish swish swish. After receiving the order, a large group of men rushed over and rushed towards the two men and one woman in the attic. Quick, listen to your father, let's go quickly. The second prince's eyes were red and tears were shining, and he pulled his eldest brother and little sister hard. The eldest prince was so distraught that his back teeth were almost broken, but now he had no choice but to evacuate with his relatives. In an instant, countless terrifying spells struck, and the entire towering attic was turned into powder and scattered in the wind. The men froze in place. At this time, a companion exclaimed, there they are. In the sky, a purple stream of light flashed across quickly. If you look carefully, you will see that it is a flying purple carpet, and on the carpet, two men and one woman are standing. I saw Princess Mingyu gritting her teeth and making secrets with her hands, constantly consuming mana to activate this flying magic weapon. There was flowing purple starlight around it, which was really beautiful. Chase! Don't let them run away. The group of men in black robes became angry and frantically chased in the direction of their target. The second prince suppressed his grief and mobilized the magic power in his body. Suddenly, his whole body was filled with Buddha's light, and he opened his mouth to utter strange syllables. What, bah, am I, each font is formed out of thin air, with a brilliant golden light, containing terrifying power that suppresses it. This is the 6-character mantra of Buddhism. Stab. The sword light crisscrossed, and the 6-character mantra was completely destroyed. Haha, with this little ability, you still want to fight stubbornly. A man in black robe who has fully transformed into a god put his fingers together and the flying sword hovered above his head. The second prince looked ugly and his heart was full of shame. Then, the group of men in black robes chased them and launched powerful attacks. The flying carpet was very flexible and they evaded one after another without any danger. Just at this moment, a halberd shot out like lightning, stabbing Princess Mingyu impartially. Little sister, be careful. The eldest prince used his Buddhist golden body to intercept. His body was filled with golden light and was fierce and strong. He could barely withstand the halberd, causing blood to bleed from the corner of his mouth and a look of pain on his face. This silly guy's defensive magical powers are quite similar to what he learned. A man in black robe waved his hand and took the halberd, playing with the taste. Brother, you are injured, Princess Mingyu said anxiously. Don't worry, little sister, big brother will protect you. The eldest prince gritted his teeth. At this time, this flying carpet of purple light swept towards somewhere in the palace. That's the teleportation array over there. I have a token that can activate this array and teleport out of the Pure Land Kingdom as quickly as possible. The second prince took out the token. What a shame, who are these people? When we escape, we must tell the truth to the world. The eldest prince said angrily. Just when the flying carpet was about to enter the teleportation array, the spells coming from behind exploded, releasing a surging and violent energy flow that swept them away, knocking them directly off the flying carpet. Not good. The three of them were shocked. Among them, the second prince, who was about to fall into the enemy's hands, poured mana into the token out of desperation and then threw it into the teleportation array. In an instant, the teleportation array erupted with bright light, and the array was beginning to operate. How dare you do anything when you are about to die? A group of men in black robes laughed ferociously and fired their magic weapons, beating the second prince into a bloody mist. Second brother, Princess Mingyu cried out sadly, her heart aching like a knife. Little sister, go quickly. The eldest prince raised his hand and grabbed Princess Mingyu next to him. His arm burst out with infinite strength and roared to throw her away. Princess Mingyu went straight to the teleportation array like an arrow from a string. Second brother, eldest brother is here to accompany you. Then, the eldest prince looked like a crazy beast. His eyes were red, the blood in his body was raging and burning, countless cracks spread across his body, and wisps of golden light seeped out, rushing into the group of black-robed men like moths rushing into the flames. Damn it, this stupid guy wants to blow himself up. Someone was shocked and angry. Boom, a blazing light group bloomed, shaking the heaven and earth. Princess Mingyu looked ashen as she stared blankly at everything, and then, surrounded by countless brilliant lights, she disappeared into the teleportation array. Chapter 123. C-123 Hong Chenny, extremely angry all day. At the same time, the leader of the Pure Land Kingdom was struggling to hold on, and he was gradually bleeding from his 7 orifices, and he looked like a bloody man. His vision gradually became blurred, and he said with difficulty, "Who are you? Why do you do this? If you want to blame it, it's your bad luck. That door happens to be right here." One of the men in black robes sneered. "When we get rid of you, the creatures of the abyss will take advantage of the situation to launch an attack. This country will be occupied soon. Don't worry, the people here will be of great use later." Another companion said. Gate, the eyes of the leader of the Pure Land Kingdom were full of surprise. He did not know the existence of the door mentioned by the other party, but what is certain is that this group of people are crazy. For the sake of profit, they actually colluded with the creatures of the abyss to harm their compatriots, and they were suspected of being from the East Domain. The top power with a loud head. Conspiracy, this is a huge conspiracy. Soon, the king of the Pure Land Kingdom finally couldn't hold on, and was pulled wildly by several terrifying forces. His body turned into particles and dissipated at a speed visible to the naked eye. 4 figures in black robes stopped and sneered at each other. The imperial palace was so full of blood that it was completely reduced to death. Soon after, the deep and thick sound of the horn sounded thousands of miles away from the Pure Land Kingdom. Come on, a group of armored creatures with a sinister appearance that did not look like humans, rode an ancient war beast, and charged menacingly with a halberd in hand. They are the creatures of the abyss. Without the protection of the Shuangkong Temple and the presence of the most powerful person in the palace, one can imagine what kind of fate the Pure Land Kingdom is about to encounter. 4 months later, in the vast sky, a huge treasure ship rides on the air current. Many monks in the ship have sad faces and are worried. You guys, this shitty world has really become more and more chaotic lately. Yes, I escaped from Luzhou. My hometown was invaded by creatures from the abyss a while ago. Many monks who resisted were suppressed, and the remaining ones were treated as animals. Oh, I didn't expect this fellow Taoist to have the same experience as me. I wonder what your plans are for the future. Where do you want to develop? It's not very clear yet. It is said that many places in the eastern region are in flames of war, and all lives are in ruins. Hey, in this huge world, where is home? As soon as these words came out, they immediately aroused the resonance of everyone, and the chat box was immediately opened. Damn it, now that the Abyssal Army is coming fiercely and has defeated countless sects in the middle and lower reaches, will those high-ranking immortal sects just sit back and wait for death? A long time ago, the ancestors of the human race suppressed the Mingyuan, so that the tribes of the Mingyuan did not dare to covet the eastern territory. Now, many years later, they have sent troops to invade again. If this continues, our eastern territory will be in danger. But now that everything is in disarray, who will take charge of the overall situation? Everyone looked sad and angry, very worried about the current situation, and feared and hated those ancient abyssal creatures. Is the situation so chaotic now? In the corner, a middle-aged man with a sword on his waist and a bamboo hat on his head was leaning against the wall with his arms folded. He was unshaven and his eyes were as sharp as an eagle. He was listening to everyone's comments, frowned deeply. Newspapers are for sale, newspapers are for sale, the latest Cultivation World Daily is worthy of your possession. On the deck, a boy in Xingyi waved a newspaper in his hand, shuttled among the crowd, and shouted loudly. Kid, give me one. Here, 2 low-grade spiritual crystals. After the transaction is completed. The middle-aged man wearing a bamboo hat held the newspaper and disappeared from the spot. Wait a minute, I don't remember this person getting on the boat. How did he show up? The captain of the ship with a superb memory stood not far away and asked with a surprised look on his face. Look, what is that? Someone stretched out his finger with a look of shock on his face. Everyone looked at him, their faces turned pale with fear. Above the vast sky, a giant creature 100,000 meters long emerged from the clouds, flapping its wings and flying across the sky. The majestic air current was so powerful that even the treasure ship was affected. The ship's hull shook violently. The owner of the ship quickly shouted to the helmsman to stay away. When he looked again, his pupils shrank in shock. The man in the hat who had just disappeared turned into a stream of light and fell on the giant creature. You have such a mount, and you want to mess with my ship. There are all kinds of big guys these days. The ship owner said with a wry smile. A beautiful holiday island. Li Wuji dodged and landed on the ground. He looked at the scene in front of him, with a look of envy in his eyes, and said respectfully, Master, as you asked, I have brought the latest newspaper. Oh, tap, tap, ah. In front of him, a silver-haired young man lay naked on the bench with his upper body naked, and from time to time he made a groaning sound that made people cringe. Hong Chenny gritted her silver teeth, a faint blush appeared on her beautiful face, suppressing the shame in her heart, and kneaded and beat the silver-haired young man's back with her hands. The palm of the hand is hot, and wisps of smoke are rising, acting as an auxiliary function for heating. A few days ago, this guy didn't know which tendon was wrong, so he was given a book of massage techniques, telling him to master all the essences, and then get started as soon as possible. It was said to be filial piety to the master. Hong Chiba was really angry at that time. He really wanted to tear up the book and shout, "Why should I serve you?" Or without saying a word, you would throw the book in your hand on his face and walk away coolly. However, this is just a thought. If he does this, he will face unimaginable consequences. In this way, Hong Chenny was extremely angry and was angry for a whole day. The practical operation started the next day. Yi Junlin narrowed his eyes in enjoyment. Zhao Hong, your skills have become more and more proficient recently, you have talent. Hong Chenny's smile was particularly stiff. Master, as long as you are satisfied. In his heart, he had already scolded Yi Junlin's 18th generation of ancestors. Xiao Li read the contents of the newspaper. We cannot deviate from the international community. Yi Junlin said slowly. What is international society? Li Wuji was confused, but he understood the previous meaning. Ahem. Li Wuji opened the newspaper in his hand and took a closer look. When he saw the content clearly, His eyes widened suddenly, and he almost thought he had seen it wrongly. Why don't you read it yet? Teacher, Master, they said that you destroyed the Shuangkong temple and implicated the Pure Land Kingdom in your anger. Not only did you bloodbath the palace, you also massacred the royal family. Now the Pure Land Kingdom is empty and has been occupied by the Mingyuan army. Aha! Yi Junlin, who was lying comfortably on the chair and enjoying the supreme massage, suddenly opened his eyes, shooting out a frightening cold light. Hong Chenyi's hands trembled, feeling like he was facing a prehistoric beast. He was so frightened that he didn't dare to move. Yi Junlin slowly sat up. His standard chest muscles were extremely strong, his 8-pack abs were carved like marble, and his silver-white hair was falling down like a galaxy, each strand of hair shining brightly. You said the Hanging Temple was destroyed. Yes, from now on there will be no such orthodoxy in the world. Li Wuji gritted his teeth, not daring to look directly into the young man's eyes. Yi Junlin narrowed his eyes slightly and said, "It's so annoying." As soon as labor and management left, someone started causing trouble on the back. The most important thing is that they blamed me for everything. Who is such a bitch? Yi Junlin was really speechless. Should he always take the blame if he is famous and handsome? Could this be the traditional custom in this world of cultivation? The Hanging Temple was destroyed and the royal family was implicated. Afterwards, the creatures from the abyss successfully captured the Pure Land Kingdom. It seems that the mastermind behind the scenes has been planning for a long time, and I was just a fuse. After calming down, Yi Junlin rubbed his chin and analyzed. Master, are they aiming for that door? Li Wuji suddenly thought of what he had encountered in the Great Zhou dynasty before and exclaimed. That's right. Yi Junlin's eyes flickered. Everything revolves around the Stargate. Combined with the inside story of the fairy world revealed by the abbot of Shuangkong Temple before, it can be expected that the forces from outside the territory are impatient and want to break into the Kunlun realm through the Stargate. My disciple was just inquiring about information on the passenger ship and found that many people were fleeing. According to their complaints, many places in the eastern region have been invaded by creatures from the abyss, and the situation is precarious. Li Wuji said angrily, "These abominable beasts, workers and management will chop them down one by one on sight." Apart from this, is there any other news? Yi Junlin asked. I'll take a look again. Li Wuji took a closer look, and his expression suddenly changed drastically. Master, something happened in Wangzhou and the Xuantian sect. Yi Junlin stretched out his hand, took the newspaper from Li Wuji's hand, lowered his head and read it carefully. It turned out that Wangzhou was also invaded by the Mingyuan army. Xuantian sect was the first to bear the brunt and led the major sects to fight against it. At first, the results were outstanding. Later, top powerhouses appeared on the other side, and the situation was reversed in an instant. Now that Wangzhou has fallen, Xuantian sect can only be passive. Defense has been besieged for a long time. It seems that the distance is too far, and even the sound transmission jade slips are ineffective. Yi Junlin frowned. No wonder there was no movement on the jade slips transmitting the message. He thought that Xuantian sect was always safe and sound. Master, the sect is in trouble, it seems we have to go back as soon as possible. Li Wuji was very anxious. After all, he became a disciple of Yi Junlin, and Xuantian sect was his home. Now that your home is about to be robbed, can you still sit still? Akun, turn around and go to Wangzhou. Yi Junlin ordered. Ding, congratulations to the host for randomly triggering the sign-in task. Go to Wangzhou to sign in, and you will receive the magical power reward, Law, Heaven and Earth. Close black lens bracket the system prompt sounds. Tongzi, since you followed me, you have become more and more discerning. Yi Junlin said. Ding, it's okay, hee. Close black lens bracket. Knowing that the situation was urgent, Kunpeng flapped his wings, his speed suddenly increased, and the surrounding scenery changed rapidly. Hong Chenyi seemed indifferent and had no sense of identification with Xuantian sect. Then, Yi Junlin took off his boots and lay on the chair like an uncle, wiggling his toes nimbly and full of coquettishness. Why are you standing there in a daze? Why don't you pinch your master's feet? Yi Junlin urged. Boom, Hong Chenyi was completely furious and rolled up her sleeves. In this way, in extreme anger, he pinched Yi Junlin's feet all day long. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode, thumbs feet 01, container, tabula below article thumbnail, 300 times 250 feet, placement, below article thumbnail -300 times 250 feet, target _type, mix. Chapter 124. C-124 Zhao lingers expectations. Barren state. This dojo that dominated the eastern region a year ago is now suffering from war. Many monks are insecure and live a life of fear. In the sky, from time to time, you can see the creatures of the abyss in twos and threes, driving chariots and shouting forward. The ones pulling the chariot forward were not ferocious beasts with rare blood, but living human monks. Their shoulders were penetrated by dark iron chains on both sides, and their blood was flowing. They endured the severe pain and gritted their teeth desperately, rushing forward, eyes filled with pain and fear. The abyss creatures riding in the chariot are covered with hard bone armor and have a pair of dark green eyes, full of cruelty and ferocity. They waved the whips in their hands and hit the monks pulling the cart from time to time, as if they were whipping animals, and they made harsh laughter from their mouths. Hurry, faster, listen up, from today on, you will be the slaves of my bone clan for the rest of your life. On the street, people occasionally looked up and saw this scene. They were so angry that they gritted their teeth and felt very ashamed. However, due to the current situation in Guangzhou, they had no choice but to keep their dissatisfaction in their stomachs. The race represented by the Mingyuan army that occupied the Guangzhou was the Bone Clan, which ranked among the top 5 among the hundreds of Mingyuan tribes and had amazing natural defense power. The barren state now belongs to them. During this time, they made fun of killing and torturing human beings at will. Damn it, is my deserted state going to be darkened by the sun? Senior Yi's reputation made the major states in the eastern region dare not underestimate him. These good days have only passed before something like this happened. Hey, even Xuantian sect can't protect itself now. Even if Senior Yi appears, he won't be able to change anything. Everyone, we'd better wish for ourselves. There were a lot of discussions in the tea house, and the atmosphere was depressing and dull. Even the storyteller was listless, sitting on his chair and sighing, worried about the future of Guangzhou. Sudden, a man rushed over and shouted, "Come out and see, the Bone Clan is going to publicly execute a monk who resists again. It is said that this time it is Fairy Zhao of the Xuantian sect." What? In the tea house, everyone was shocked and quickly stood up and rushed out. At this time, around the execution platform, there were Bone Clan soldiers on strict guard, holding sharp spears, and the dark green eyes behind their masks were cold and ruthless. There were a lot of onlookers, and everyone looked ugly. Because this kind of public execution is just a slap in the face of the people of Guangzhou. They can do nothing but watch their compatriots being killed by aliens. Give me a good look, this is the fate of those who resist. A 3-meter-tall Bone Tribe strongman stood on the stage, looking up at the woman in blue who was hung high by a black iron chain, with weak breath and dripping with blood, and sneered. "I heard that you have a high status in Xuantian sect. Haha, even your elders dare not open the mountain door and only dare to huddle inside. How dare you sneak out? Where are you going?" The woman in blue had blood stains on her face, her teeth were clenched, she was stubborn and refused to beg for mercy, her eyes were full of hatred. Her name is Zhao Ling'er, she is the daughter of Emperor Wei of the Wei dynasty. After being brought to Xuantian sect by Yi Junlin, she worked hard to practice. Due to her extraordinary talent and the possession of top-quality water spiritual roots, she was later taken to the Xuantian sect by her master, the master of Tianxiang Peak. Sundial cultivated for 300 years, and when he came out again, his cultivation had reached the peak of divine transformation. Of course, due to the speed of time, only 3 days have passed in the outside world, but she is no longer the young girl she was before. She has a well-developed figure, a slim waist, long legs, and a slim figure. Later, the Mingyuan army invaded, and she fought side by side with her elders. She was so skilled in water magic and so powerful that she was called Fairy Zhao by many monks. Unfortunately, as the number of strong Bone Clan members increased, the pressure on the Xuantian sect doubled, until the sect leader and the others were defeated and injured, and were forced to huddle in the mountain gate. The main reason why Zhao Ling'er sneaked out this time was because she learned that Wei state was occupied and her father's life and death were unknown. As a result, on the way to the Wei kingdom, she encountered a patrol team of the Bone Clan, and a fierce fight ensued. Just when she was about to break through the siege, the Bone Clan general in the fusion realm appeared in front of her and suppressed her. Seeing that Zhao Ling'er didn't speak, the Bone Clan general continued to sneer. "In the entire Guangzhou, your Xuantian sect is the most troublesome, but it doesn't matter. Today my great Bone King will gather his strength again to defeat your Xuantian sect. The people inside will be kill them all." Hear the words. Zhao Ling'er's beautiful eyes almost burst out with anger. "As long as you dare to do this, I, Master Yifeng of the Xuantian sect, will definitely kill all of you when I return from my travels. Be bold." The Bone Tribe general roared angrily, and the sound waves he roared were deafening, causing Zhao to bleed from all his orifices and have a splitting headache. I've heard of the man you're talking about, his name is Yi Junlin, right? He's also been dubbed the white-haired god of death. If you ask me, it's just in name only. The reason why I don't dare to come back is because I'm scared. I'm hiding like a dog. How dare I avenge you? The Bone Tribe general sneered, his words mocking Yi Junlin. Ha ha ha, the surrounding men also laughed, and the laughter was extremely harsh. You are not allowed to insult Master Yi. Zhao shouted angrily and emotionally. She will never forget that figure that came to the Wei Kingdom like a banished immortal. It was the first time she saw Yi Junlin. It was also a major turning point in her destiny. Even if she thinks about it countless times, she will feel emotional. This is the strong man she respects and admires most in her life. Now that the Bone Clan generals were speaking rudely, Zhao was so angry that her body was shaking. Hearing the other party humiliating Senior Yi, everyone present clenched their fists and showed grief and indignation on their faces. Yi Junlin was recognized as the strongest man in the Wasteland State and an idol worshipped by countless cultivators in the Wasteland State. Now that he was verbally humiliated by alien creatures, they felt very uncomfortable, their eyes were bloodshot, and anger was boiling in their chests. Everyone, don't be impulsive. The difference in strength is too great. Even if we riot collectively, we will just die in vain. In the crowd, an old man in a gray robe with a fairy-like appearance noticed that everyone's emotions were almost out of control, and hurriedly sent a message secretly. This person was the ancestor of the moving mountain sect, Ouyang Feng. When he broke through the god transformation, he was so high-spirited. Later, he was hit hard by reality. Then he saw Yi Junlin's strength and was completely convinced. Until he got the opportunity from Luotian's secret realm, he is now a powerful person who has completed the god transformation, and is only one step away from the fusion realm. In fact, Ouyang Feng is already a talented person. After all, in such a bad situation in the Wasteland State, he was able to break through the god transformation. Now, in more than a year, he is about to touch the threshold of the fusion realm. The progress is not slow. It's just that the current situation is changing too fast. The god transformation can only be regarded as the backbone of the combat power and cannot change the overall situation. Seeing that Zhao was about to be executed, Ouyang Feng was also very anxious, but the general of the Bone Clan was in the fusion realm and was powerful. Even if he took action, there was no possibility of winning. This group of damn nether abyss creatures is simply bullying too much. Thinking of what happened during this period, Ouyang Feng gritted his teeth in hatred. At that time, the army of the Dark Abyss was fierce and swept across the wasteland under the leadership of the Bone Clan. After failing to resist, the Banshan sect was forced to disband. The other three sects were the same. Except for the Xuantian sect, they all withdrew from the mountain and did not dare to fight head-on. There was no way, the gap in strength was too great. The only one who could compete with the Dark Abyss army was the Xuantian sect in the entire wasteland, but now it is probably going to fall. Seeing that this group of human race dared not speak out, the general of the Bone Clan was even more proud. It stretched out a big hand covered with white bones, with tadpole-like runes entwined, emitting a strange light. In an instant, several sharp bone spurs emerged from the void and slowly pierced into Zhao body. Blood flowed along the bone spurs, and the severe pain made her sweat profusely. But even so, she clenched her teeth and refused to scream. The scene was dead silent, and the atmosphere was extremely depressing. Everyone was in a heavy mood, their noses were sour, and their eyes were red. The general of the Bone Clan frowned. This was not the effect it wanted. Only by hearing this woman's painful begging for mercy or screaming could it achieve its psychological expectations. But now, what's the matter with not saying a word? Not satisfied at all. The general of the Bone Clan continued to cast spells, and several sharp bone spurs emitted a burning breath. The wounds on Zhao body seemed to be burned by flames, emitting a pungent smell of burning. Zhao face was blue and veins were exposed, her face was as pale as paper, and her back teeth were almost broken. This kind of pain is simply worse than death. However, she still did not beg for mercy, did not scream, but was struggling to hold on. The general of the Bone Clan looked ugly. This woman's willpower was far beyond imagination. If she didn't die, and was allowed to continue to grow, she would definitely be a terrible enemy in the future. What a good girl. Ouyang Feng's eyes were red and he was moved. At the same time, his heart was filled with sadness. From now on, will the cultivators of the desolate state be like this, being bullied by the foreign race? Others showed grief and indignation, feeling very aggrieved in their hearts. Senior Yi, the desolate state needs you. At this moment, their emotions reached their peak, and they were eager to see the invincible figure of the past again. HMPH, boring. Seeing that the expected effect was not achieved, the general of the Bone clan was furious, and waved his hand to manipulate the bone spurs to directly penetrate Zhao Linger. Is it finally over? Zhao Linger knew that she was going to die, but she felt relieved. However, at this moment, a vast pressure like the sea enveloped, and the whole world was trembling. Everyone's breathing stopped, and the fear in their bodies was like a flood, and they dared not move. What's going on? The general of the Bone clan was frightened and shivered, and his eyes widened in horror. This kind of breath can only be felt from the king of the Bone clan. The next second, it saw a shocking scene that it would never forget in its lifetime. A mythical creature that was 100,000 meters long came with terrifying might, and the places along the way were dim and dark, even the sun was blocked, as if the whole world fell into darkness. The breath of the tribulation realm. This is the demon emperor. In the crowd, Wu Yangfeng was so scared that his scalp almost exploded, and he lost his voice in horror. Everyone's face was pale, and their eyes were full of despair. There was an invasion of the Nether Abyss army in front, and the tribulation realm demon emperor descended in the back. Was the desolate state completely finished? Suddenly, a huge divine consciousness fell on the bloody Zhao Linger, and a light exclamation sounded in the void. Sure enough, there is a familiar feeling, have we seen it somewhere? Swish, Yi Junlin flashed and appeared on the execution platform, his eyes were as bright as stars, his long silver-white hair was flying in disorder, and he was wearing a solemn black robe embroidered with gold, exuding an exclusive temperament. Zhao Linger, whose consciousness was about to sink, suddenly brightened up after seeing the figure she had been thinking about. With a trembling voice and a hint of trepidation and uncertainty, she said, "Yes, is it you? Master Yi Feng." Chapter 125. C-125 Tisk Tisk, you have grown bigger. Zhao Linger was very scared, afraid that this was an illusion before death. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. The other party called him like this, he must be from Xuantian sect. Maybe they met once, otherwise, how could he feel familiar? Just now when Kunpeng entered the wasteland state, Yi Junlin released his boundless divine sense to check the situation. With his perfect cultivation of transcending the tribulation, his divine sense was so vast and boundless that he could see through everything he saw, even a few earthworms hidden in the soil. And the execution scene that happened here was also noticed by him. The reason why he drove Kunpeng here was mainly because Zhao Linger gave him a sense of déjà vu. Since she was a disciple of Xuantian sect, he naturally couldn't ignore it. Yi Junlin waved his hand, and the black iron chain tied to Zhao Linger's arms broke into powder, and Zhao Linger fell into his arms covered in blood. Swish! The surging mana turned into endless wood essence, which was continuously injected through the palm. Zhao Linger's seriously injured body was quickly treated, and the wound healed at an incredible speed, exuding vigorous vitality. The pale and weak face also regained its rosy color, white and rosy, very healthy. Zhao Linger couldn't believe that all this was true. Looking at this handsome face that was close to her and looked at her carefully, Zhao Linger's heart was like a deer beating wildly, her cheeks flushed, and her eyes dodged and said, Master Yi Feng. Sorry, forgive me for being presumptuous. Yi Junlin almost forgot to have a sense of boundaries and quickly let go of his hand. Oh, Zhao Linger was lying in someone else's arms in the last second, and fell to the ground in the next second. When she raised her head, her expression was a little dazed. Yi Junlin asked, what's your name? What's your status in Xuantian sect? He could see that Zhao Linger was at the peak of the spiritualization realm, which was a high-end combat force in the previous Xuantian sect, but now he hadn't been back for more than a year and was not clear about the situation inside the sect. So he had forgotten me. Zhao Linger felt a little disappointed, stood up from the ground, and bowed gracefully, Master Yi, my name is Zhao Linger. You brought me back to Xuantian sect from Wei State before, and later I became a disciple of the master of Tianxiang Peak, and now I am a true disciple. Zhao Linger. Yi Junlin was stunned and remembered who this was in an instant. It's no wonder that he couldn't recognize her. As the saying goes, girls change a lot when they grow up. When he first met Zhao Linger, she was just an innocent and lively girl, but now she has grown into a graceful young lady. Whether it's her face or her figure, she is completely different. Only a vague familiar impression can be found between her eyebrows. Tisk, it's quite big. Yi Junlin stroked his chin, carefully looked at the woman in blue, and then gave a sharp evaluation. Nonsense, how big is it? Zhao Linger's pretty face turned red, and she couldn't help but lower her head and whispered. Senior, really, there are so many people watching at the scene, is it the time to say such things? Age, Yi Junlin blurted out. With his eyesight, he could naturally see that Zhao Linger's bone age was more than 300 years old. It must be borrowed from the power of the sundial, otherwise, how could there be such a big change in just 1 year? Of course, for practitioners, age is not a problem at all. Some people have an older mentality. Even if they have a high level of cultivation and a long lifespan, their image looks very old. Ah, Zhao Linger seemed to be petrified. She never expected that she was talking about this. Haha, you are older than me now. Yi Junlin smiled and added another knife invisibly. Boom, Zhao Linger was like being struck by 5 thunderbolts, her head was buzzing, she stretched out her hands and covered her chest tightly, feeling that her heart was pierced. This sentence was too cruel for her. Seeing the blue-clothed woman in a state of dismay and low mood, Yi Junlin felt a little strange. Did he say something wrong? At this time, the generals of the Bone clan were already scared to the point of having a blank mind, and their whole bodies were as cold as falling into the abyss. This is the white-haired killer Yi Junlin that they have passed down by word of mouth. Such an unfathomable aura of cultivation can only be felt in the top strong men of the Bone clan, and even vaguely, it is better than the king of its clan. Strong, too strong, there is no thought of resistance at all. The surrounding Bone clan soldiers were also frightened and silent, and the cold chill penetrated into their bones. This human race is so scary. It's Senior Yi who is back. Wu Yangfeng shouted excitedly. He leapt up and landed on the execution platform, bowing deeply. Senior Yi, I am the leader of the Banshan sect, Wu Yangfeng. I wonder if you still remember me. Yi Junlin looked at the old man and nodded with a smile. I remember you. If he hadn't appeared, the position of the strongest man in Wangzhou would have fallen to this man. It's a pity, who made him cheat? Yi Junlin admired Wu Yangfeng very much. He couldn't bear the humiliation and took up the responsibility to fight against the outsiders alone. He had great courage and determination. Seeing that Senior Yi remembered him, Wu Yangfeng was so excited that tears flowed down his face. All the resentment and grievances that had been accumulated in his heart for a long time poured out, and he choked up and said, Senior Yi, you have to take charge of Wangzhou. These beasts from the nether abyss wantonly oppressed and humiliated us Wangzhou people. Please, Senior Yi, take charge of the situation for us. Please, Senior Yi, take charge of the situation. A tsunami-like shouting sounded, and the cultivators present were excited and tears filled their eyes. They saw the black-robed figure as if it was a god descending to earth. Yi Junlin frowned, and could feel that the desolate state was in dire straits during this period of time. His eyes shifted to the general of the Bone clan, and he shouted, Don't you know that I protect this place? How dare you come here to act wild? Invisibly, a strong force rushed over. The general of the Bone clan was struck by lightning, staggered back a few steps, and then fell to his knees. His bone armor was covered with cracks, and green blood seeped out. His eyes were wide open, and his pupils were trembling. Looking at the silver-haired young man in front of him, the general of the Bone clan felt desperate. In front of such an existence, it was as small as an ant. There is a king in my clan coming to take charge. I advise you not to mess around. If you know what's good for you, you can surrender and be soft, otherwise, what awaits you is a dead end. Seeing that he was desperate, the general of the Bone clan gave up, trying to force Yi Junlin to give in. Everyone was indignant. This was a naked threat. But they were also worried. After all, the king of the Bone clan had unfathomable cultivation, and with the help of many top masters, Senior Yi alone might not be able to cope with it. They were afraid that their only hope would be destroyed in this disaster. Yi Junlin sneered, Haha, I haven't met anyone who can fight better than me yet. Swish, he waved his sleeves casually. The Bone clan general was horrified. Just as he was about to beg for mercy, his whole body was blown away by the wind-like particles, and he died silently. The surrounding Bone clan soldiers were the same, and were completely wiped out from this world. Listen to me. Then, Yi Junlin stretched out his hand, pointed his finger at the sky, and said in a loud voice, As long as I am here, the sky will not fall down. Boom! The vast clouds suddenly dispersed, and strands of dazzling golden light shone down, making the silver-haired young man look like a god in the world, extremely dazzling. Senior Yi is so powerful. Wu Yangfeng bowed to the ground excitedly. Looking at the man in front of him, he felt that he had found his backbone. Senior Yi is so powerful. Countless people burst into tears and bowed down one after another. The scene was spectacular and large-scale. Good, so handsome. Zhao Linger was fascinated. On Kunpeng, Li Wuji said with emotion, I didn't expect that master is so popular in this desolate state. I admire him. This is the charm of personality. Hong Chenny curled his lips at the side. Tisk, pretending again. Chapter 126. C-126 Understand the applause. The shouts shook the earth, and the scene was like a star-studded moon. Yi Junlin kept pointing to the sky with one hand, his silver-white hair fluttering, his expression stern, and he secretly thought in his heart, awesome, so damn awesome. Is this the feeling of being pursued by countless fans? No wonder the stars in the previous life liked to put on airs, and they felt uncomfortable if they didn't. Wu Yangfeng suddenly thought of something, and with a nervous and excited mood, he asked carefully, Senior Yi, I want to ask you about the problems in cultivation, can you give me some advice? In Wu Yangfeng's view, Yi Junlin is a strong man in the tribulation realm, and his understanding of the Great Tao must be very thorough, and he has a lot of experience in breaking through each realm, so he wants to ask for advice, gain insights from it, and break through to the fusion realm. After all, in the current situation, the God transformation realm is just a mere soldier, and only the fusion realm can do something, otherwise it is too passive. Yi Junlin was stunned, and then his face was speechless. Old thing, don't force me to slap you when I'm happiest. Damn it, how can he understand cultivation? It's nothing more than bumping into an enemy with a higher realm, and then his realm will rise. The so-called cultivator's perception of the Tao, the experience and understanding of breaking through the realm, can be said to be completely ignorant. White as a piece of paper. But now, the question has come to this point, and it is in such a special occasion, can he directly refuse? If so, then wouldn't his perfect personality collapse? Zhao Linger on the side instantly cheered up, her expression full of expectation and seriousness. If Master Yifeng expounded his understanding of Taoism, it would be very helpful to her, a junior in the God transformation realm. If she could gain insights from it, she could even save thousands of years of detours. The whole audience quickly quieted down. Countless eyes focused on Yi Junlin, and everyone held their breath, wanting to listen carefully. If a big man of this level opened a magic altar, it would definitely be the biggest event in the wasteland state. Therefore, being able to listen to a few words and gain insights from it is a blessing in this life. This is a great opportunity. Damn, are you serious? Yi Junlin's mouth twitched, and he put his hands behind his back, revealing an awkward but polite smile. Ding, congratulations to the host for coming to the sign-in location, Wangzhou, do you want to receive the sign-in reward? At this time, the system prompt sounded abruptly. Tongzi, so you like delay now, right? Is it still okay? And I'm about to lose face now, what do you say I should do? Catching the system running out, Yi Junlin said unhappily. Ding, ying, why are you so fierce? I just fell asleep. Host, don't be angry, as long as you receive this sign-in reward, this system will give you an additional function of reciting the mantra to help you deal with the current situation, just as a small compensation. The system is a standard lowly voice, like a soft and cute girl acting coquettishly, even a rough man will be defeated. Yi Junlin didn't care about that. He only heard that there were rewards and compensations, and he could deal with the difficulties in front of him. He suddenly became confident and said, sign in for me. Ding, congratulations to the host for completing the sign-in task, and reward the supreme magical power, Law of Heaven and Earth. Closing square bracket. Law of Heaven and Earth, it can make the caster very big. Super big, the ability will also be greatly improved. Note, refers to the enlargement of the body, not a certain part. Okay, Yi Junlin was very satisfied, as long as he could fight. Tongzi, where is the extra function you promised? Did you eat it? Ding, don't worry, I will turn on the reciting mantra function for the host. It will take 2 minutes. Everything the host says will be blessed by Taoism, which will help people to realize the Tao. Closing square bracket. Yi Junlin waited quietly for a while, but he always felt that there was no change. He said in his heart, Tongzi, you are not kidding me, are you? Ding, it's unfair, this system has turned on the function. You have to speak to use it. Warm reminder, time is running out. Close black lens bracket. Yi, Senior Yi, Wu Yangfeng saw that Yi Junlin was still silent, and thought that he was unwilling to impart his experience, and he was a little disappointed. Alas, it seems that I have to explore it myself. Senior Yi is the top power in the world of cultivation, and his understanding of Taoism may be extremely profound. Even if he is willing to say it, people like me may find it difficult to understand. Just when everyone's bright eyes began to dim, Yi Junlin, who was the focus of everyone's attention, cleared his throat and spoke. Well, I have no interest in cultivation. Sometimes I can break through in a moment. There is no so-called bottleneck at all. As for imparting Taoism and experience, I can only say that those who understand will understand, and I won't explain much to those who don't understand. Applause for understanding. In an instant, the whole audience was silent, and you could hear a pin drop. Everyone looked at each other in amazement. A few seconds later, in the sky, the cry of a crow flying over was heard. Seeing that there was no reaction at the scene, Yi Junlin couldn't get off the stage no matter how thick-skinned he was, and he tapped his toes on the ground in embarrassment. Damn, I knew it wouldn't be so easy to get away with it. Tongzi, you misunderstood me. At this time, Yang Feng was dazed at first, then his eyes lit up, and he shouted in joy, I understand. I understand. I understand what Senior Yi meant. Yi Junlin looked weird, you really understand. What he didn't know was that the nonsense he just said became inexplicably grand and noble under the blessing of reciting the mantra, and there was a kind of meaning of simplicity in the great way, which made people feel enlightened. Yang Feng's experience in cultivation over the years has achieved a qualitative leap at this moment. He suddenly realized that the bottleneck in his body began to loosen, and with a bang, he broke through from the state of transformation to the state of fusion. Boom! Yang Feng's hair was flying wildly, and he felt an unprecedented power in his body. The blood in his body seemed to be boiling, and his face was full of excitement. It was really a golden word, to be able to mix such a complicated philosophy of the great way into a simple sentence. This must be the reincarnation of a saintly teacher, right? In the past, I couldn't understand why the disciples accepted by Senior Yi could achieve rapid progress in cultivation and super strength. Now he can only say that those who understand understand. Oh, I understand too. So that's how it is. Zhao Linger's eyes were bright, and she suddenly understood. Her cultivation soared and broke through to the state of fusion. Her skin was flowing with the luster of sheep fat jade, and her fairy muscles and bones were filled with mysterious aura. Yi Junlin was very confused. How come you understand it too? On the other side, Li Wuji was shocked and felt more and more respectful. The more complicated the philosophy of the Tao is, the simpler it can be presented. He is worthy of being the master. His words are worth thousands of years of hard work. Invisibly, his understanding of the Tao of the sword has improved. Hong Chenyi took a deep breath, always feeling that this guy was talking nonsense, but there was no evidence. The most incredible thing is that he felt it made sense, and he didn't know why he felt this way. Senior Yi, we understand it too. Excited shouts came from the crowd one after another. All the cultivators who listened to Yi Junlin's words woke up from their dreams, understood their true intentions, and their cultivation rose rapidly. Even a local dog passing by the roadside barked excitedly, and the shackles in its body were opened, breaking through the Qi training realm and embarking on the road of cultivation. Seeing this situation, Yi Junlin was speechless. So you all understand everything, right? But he couldn't let it slip. He had to act calmer at this time, so that he would have a mysterious feeling. Papa. Suddenly, Yang Feng took the lead in applauding and shouted excitedly, Senior Yi just said, understand the applause. He felt that he was very smart and would definitely leave a better impression on Senior Yi. Yes, the people at the scene reacted and turned into crazy fans, clapping desperately, their palms clapping red, their eyes full of enthusiasm. The applause sounded like thunder, resounding between heaven and earth. The scene was like a success guru giving a lecture, and the people below followed suit and clapped. Is he sick? Yi Junlin complained in his heart, but with a smile on his face, he nodded, well, it's good that you understand. Ding, the function experience is over. Is the host satisfied with the effect? Close black lens bracket the system prompt sounded. Yi Junlin said quickly, strong, too strong, can you tell me what they understand? He was really curious, because he was the only one who didn't have that feeling of sudden enlightenment, so he wanted to know urgently. Ding, oh, those who understand understand. Closing square bracket, Yi Junlin. Tongzi, you are very happy about this, right? Warm tips. If you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error, or contact us at the bottom to inform us. We will deal with it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. Chapter 127. C-127 Just Start Fighting. Yi Junlin's heart was complicated. He was the only one who didn't understand it until the end of the co-writing. Seeing the fiery eyes of this group of people shining with idol worship, Yi Junlin suddenly felt that it didn't matter whether he understood it or not. Why are you pretending to know so much? Just feel good and that's it. Let me ask you, do you know where the base camp of the Mingyuan army is stationed? Yi Junlin said seriously. Wu Yangfeng's eyes lit up. Is Senior Yi going to officially declare war? Wow, Senior Yi, those beasts are in Heimeling. Yi Junlin nodded, looked at Zhao Linger and said, if you still have something to do, go ahead and get busy. I will return to Xuantian sect soon. Zhao Linger was shocked, was there going to be a fight? She instinctively wanted to speak out to dissuade him, but then she thought about it. This person with such powerful powers didn't seem to need her to worry, right? She had better go to Wei State first to see if her father and the others were still okay. Anyway, the two places are close to each other, and since he has broken through the fusion realm, his flying speed is faster than before. When he realizes that nothing is wrong, he rushes to Heimeling to help out. Aha! Yi Junlin ducked towards Kunpeng. Kun, let's set off for Hamo Ridge. Kunpeng flapped its wings and screamed excitedly. The sound vibrated for 90,000 miles, and then it rode the divine wind and soared into the sky. Rumble, watching this behemoth head towards Heimeling. Everyone's throats were swallowing wildly, and their eyes were full of admiration. I'm convinced, I'm really convinced. The demon emperor who has been in the tribulation realm has to be a mount for Senior Yi. Doesn't this further illustrate the power of Senior Yi? Quick, hurry up and let me know, Senior Yi is back. He is going to officially start a war against the Mingyuan army. Wu Yangfeng's face turned red and he roared with all his strength. A moment, everyone either flew up with flying swords or used light talismans to spread the explosive news. Soon, more and more places in the deserted state seemed to be forming a chain reaction and falling into huge shocks. Senior Yi is back. He is now rushing towards Heimeling. The battle that will determine the fate of our Wangzhou is about to begin. Fellow Taoists, time does not wait for us, hurry up and help. Damn it, I've been waiting for him to come. Let's go, it's worth risking your life. What an honor it is to be able to fight alongside Senior Yi. If anyone is late this time, he will regret it for the rest of his life. From all over Wangzhou, the monks who received the news, no matter what they were doing or what their identity was, seemed to have been given a shot of blood at this time, and they all set off and gathered towards Heimeling. Hey, you haven't given me the money yet. Fengluan Tower, a place where people are looking for flowers and willows, a man rushed out with his pants raised. Behind him was the madam who was jumping anxiously and yelling angrily. The man turned around and shouted, I'll give it to you when I get back from work. What if I never come back? Then leave and never come back. The man was righteous and awe-inspiring, and he escaped with the golden light. He was actually a golden elixir stage monk. Is free prostitution still reasonable these days? The madam was so angry that her liver ached. Swish swish swish, countless colorful rainbows swept towards the sky, dragging out long tail lights. The scene was very vast and dark. After all, during this period of time, the people of Wangzhou have been too frustrated. They have been tyrannized by foreigners and have long-standing grievances. Now that Senior Yi is taking the lead, their anger is instantly ignited, and they rush to help. At this time, Black Mo Ridge, the rocks here are as black as ink, forming mountains like millstones, with a vast area and a vast atmosphere. The sun is shining brightly outside, but here the clouds are gloomy and there is no light. Along the way, you can see the garrisoned abyss creatures. They have strange looks and are all from the dark race. It's just that this million-strong army is dominated by a small number of bone races, and their status as soldiers and generals will be higher. This is the base camp of the Mingyuan army stationed in Wangzhou. In the Bone Palace, a tall figure exuding the aura of the middle stage of the tribulation realm and densely covered with forest-white bone armor stood upright, with an ugly skull face and green eyes shining with fierce light. This is the Bone King who is sitting in Wangzhou this time. It has a name, Bazaar. According to the original plan, our army will break through the forces hiding the Stargate in advance. Now, most of the areas in this dojo are under control, but the Xuantian sect is the most difficult, and it is still resisting. Bazaar said coldly. If it hadn't appeared and seriously injured Xuantian sect's leader and other peak masters, making them cower in the sect and not dare to show up, the Mingyuan army would not have conquered Wangzhou so smoothly. But the problem is that the other party has gathered the strength of the entire sect to support the mountain protecting formation, which allows it to lead its army to launch attacks many times, but all fail. I thought it would be overwhelming, but now it is being delayed again and again. Even if Xuantian sect is the only one left as a thorn in the side, Baza feels very annoyed in his heart. It has a heavy responsibility on its shoulders, so there can be no mistakes. Fortunately, I have asked for help from the clan. If we count the time, my brothers should be able to come to help me today. Those brothers in Bazaar are all brothers who have broken bones and connected muscles. Including it, there are 6 in total, known as the 6 heroes of the Bone Clan in the Abyss. Moreover, they are all at the level of transcending tribulation. He is the king of the Bone Clan. For a long time, the 6 heroes of the Bone Clan have been calling the shots in the Abyss, and many dark races have been in awe of them. Even the beings who have successfully transcended the tribulation are deeply wary of the 6 of them and do not dare to provoke them easily. Just because the 6 heroes of the Bone Clan have mastered a powerful innate magic. And now, seeing that Bazaar had been unable to achieve his wish, he simply asked his 5 good brothers to come forward and join forces to destroy the Schwantian sect. Brother, swish swish swish, 5 figures appeared in the hall, blowing up a huge dark wind. Second brother, third brother, fourth brother, fifth brother, sixth brother, you are finally here. Bazaar was overjoyed and went up to greet him happily. Brother, we, the 6 heroes of the Bone Clan, are united. If you, the eldest brother, are in trouble, how can we not come? Bucky, the second eldest, laughed. Yes, brother, you said that we encountered the stubborn resistance of the human race here and were unable to capture the last Stargate. The elders of the clan paid great attention to it and asked us to come and help as soon as possible. Bobby, who ranked 3rd, was serious. Road. Ha ha ha, with you this time, Schwantian sect has absolutely no way out. Boss Bazaar was in a happy mood. However, when it thought of something, its eyes flashed coldly. It is said that Schwantian sect has a very powerful person who has killed many people in the tribulation realm and is known as the god of killing. I invite you here mainly to deal with him. The god of death, what an arrogant name. Bucky, the second oldest, sneered, no matter how capable he is, if he dares to come, he will definitely die. Bazaar heard the implication and his eyes flickered. Second brother, you. Brother, what do you think this is? Bucky, the second oldest, took out 6 purple elixirs. The surface of the elixirs was filled with an evil aura. Could this be the Ming Yuan pill given by the envoy? Baza was a little surprised. Thinking of those elusive envoys, his heart couldn't help but tremble. That's right, each of us has 1 pill, and relying on that unique magic, unless the true immortal comes, we have no opponent. The second child was very proud. Okay. Baza felt more confident, and a violent murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Let's set off now, to destroy Zon. Boom, there was a loud explosion outside, shaking the sky for thousands of miles. The entire vast Black Mo Ridge trembled like an earthquake, and soon screams began one after another. Your Majesty, something bad has happened. A powerful human race has invaded. A bone race soldier hurried over to report. What? The 6 heroes of the Bone Clan looked at each other with shock in their eyes. Chapter 128. C-128 Going Crazy. At this time, the Black Mold Ridge was shaken greatly. A blade light that spanned the sky fell down, breaking the mountains that stretched for thousands of miles. Countless blade chi surged, and many soldiers of the Nether Abyss died in screams. Don't panic, quickly set up the battle formation. The 12 commanders of the Bone Clan roared in shock and anger. As expected of a well-trained army, after being attacked, this Nether Abyss army immediately adjusted its state and divided into multiple square formations, condensing its own strength, like 100 streams converging into the sea, releasing vast energy fluctuations. Boom, a huge phantom with hideous heads and horns, like a demon, and a height of 1,000 meters emerged. They had extremely fierce faces, 6 eyes, 8 big hands on their backs, and extremely boiling murderous spirits all over their bodies. This is what the monks often call the Dharma. The Dharma stood on each square formation, like a demon god standing tall, overlooking this vast land. Their strength has reached the level of Mahayana perfection. The 12 Bone Clan commanders had fierce eyes and shouted in unison, "Kill!" At the same time, all the square formations worked together, and the soldiers and generals of the Nether Abyss worked together to guide the power to manipulate the Dharma to launch an attack. Boom! The Dark Fist Prince crisscrossed, trying to blow up the stars and suppress the world, bringing an extremely shocking sense of oppression. At this time, Li Wuji showed a sneer at the corner of his mouth, holding the ink knife and slashing. Swish! Yin and Yang were separated, and the sun and the moon were reversed. The dense, heavy and majestic Fist Prince burst like bubbles, and the sword energy spread like a hurricane, and the sword energy was indestructible. The shadows of the Dharma images were struck by lightning and disappeared in the air in an instant. The major square formations were immediately in chaos. Many soldiers of the Nether Abyss were crushed into powder by the sword energy in the eyes of horror. Those generals in the fusion realm also suffered heavy casualties, and there were bursts of wailing at the scene. The 12 commanders of the Bone Clan were covered with scars and coughed up blood. Looking at the middle-aged man standing with a knife, their eyes showed deep fear and said in horror, This is the breath of the tribulation realm. Hee. Li Wuji raised the knife in his hand again, and when he was about to fall, several destructive breaths burst out from the black ridge in front of him, and the terrifying murderous intent gathered together, causing his knife that was about to fall to stop. Li Wuji raised his eyebrows. 6 powerful Bone Clan creatures, surrounded by black evil spirits, stood in the void with an invincible posture, staring at the knife-wielding man. Could it be that you are Yi Junlin, the god of killing? Baza said coldly with a fierce look in his eyes. Li Wuji shook his head. No, I am his disciple. Disciple. The 6 brothers were stunned. This Yi Junlin is so powerful that even his disciple is a virtual immortal in the realm of tribulation. Baza released his divine sense and found that far away from Li Wuji, a huge demon was suspended in the clouds, suspected to be a mount. When it wanted to use divine sense to continue to investigate and see the situation above, it seemed to be blocked by an invisible force and difficult to penetrate. Humph, what a great prestige. You actually let your disciple deal with me. Don't I have face? Baza felt underestimated and was very annoyed. Brother, don't be angry, I think Yi Junlin must be afraid, so he let his disciple come to investigate the situation. The second brother Baki sneered. That's right, the other brothers echoed. Li Wuji sneered, with you alone, it's not my master's turn to take action. Swish, the blade light shining like divine punishment illuminates the world. The 6 heroes of the Bone Clan suddenly felt cold all over, as if falling into the abyss. Stop it quickly. Baz's scalp was numb, and he was so angry that he suddenly raised his hand and slapped out a bone palm. The palm print was sinister and covered the sky. The other 5 brothers took action one after another. They were all in the early stage of the tribulation. With the help of the boss who was in the middle stage of the tribulation, they burst out with surging killing power. Boom! The blazing light ball flashed and swept across. The ground was torn apart by the raging energy airflow. The vast mountains were destroyed, and the dust swept like a sandstorm, and countless lives were annihilated. Hurry, run! Seeing that the army was affected and almost fell, the 12 Bone Clan commanders hurriedly set out to evacuate. As a result, they didn't run far before they saw an overwhelming number of human monks flying over, holding various magic weapons and attacking, and the colorful light reflected the sky. Kill all these damn beasts. The monks who came from all over the place saw the creatures of the nether abyss fleeing in a panic, their eyes burst with murderous intent, and they launched attacks desperately. The remaining remnants could only passively fight back, but they were beaten into mud one after another by the magic weapons thrown by the monks. The 12 Bone Clan commanders were deeply trapped in the endless encirclement and suppression. They were shocked and angry, and their hearts were full of grievances. They were seriously injured just now and could no longer form a strong counterattack against this group of monks. Die for me! A roar. The Kunshan sword burst into a yellowish-brown halo, shining like the sun, and fell on the head of one of the Bone Clan commanders, and then forcibly cut it in half. Ouyang Feng's hair was flying wildly, holding the Kunshan sword with a momentum like a dragon, and excitement flashed in his eyes. This feeling of beating a drowned dog is really too cool. You know, he just chopped a Mahayana Bone Clan commander alive. In the past, how could there be such a good opportunity to get a mobile phone? No. Seeing their colleagues fall, the 11 Bone Clan commanders showed grief and anger, feeling like a tiger in plain land being bullied by a dog. Then they howled to the sky, their bodies filled with murderous aura, and flew over to tear Ouyang Feng to pieces. Don't worry, come one by one. It is an honor for you creatures in the nether abyss to die under my sword. Ouyang Feng was addicted. He rushed forward with Kunshan's sword in hand, slashing horizontally and vertically, and made those Bone Clan commanders spit blood and retreat one after another. Presumably, after this battle, even after a long time, this ancestor of the Moving Mountain sect will be full of pride and brag to future generations about his glorious deeds. Back then, I, the ancestor, with the cultivation of barely the fusion realm, was able to suppress the 11 Bone Clan commanders in the Mahayana realm, and was simply invincible. On the other side, just a face-to-face, the 6 heroes of the Bone Clan were seriously injured, and the boss Baza was even more horrified, with blood flowing from the corners of his mouth, looking at the knife-wielding figure in disbelief. I am in the middle stage of the Tribulation Realm, with the help of 5 people in the early stage of the Tribulation Realm, but I can't even block the opponent's knife. Is Yi Junlin's apprentice so powerful? If it weren't for the Bone Tribe's natural strong defense, one of them would have fallen. Li Wuji sneered. I've said it before, my master doesn't need to take action to deal with you guys. Hearing this, the 6 heroes of the Bone Tribe felt very ashamed. When they were in the dark abyss, how could they have suffered such humiliation? Baza narrowed his eyes and looked at the huge monster quietly floating in the depths of the clouds, then his eyes swept to Li Wuji, his eyes revealed a fierce look, and he growled, "Human race, I will make you pay the price next." After saying that, he took out the dark yuan dan and swallowed it into his stomach. In an instant, Baz's eyes burst out with dark purple beams, and the whole body burst out with terrifying yin sha qi, full of oppression. The originally broken bone armor healed immediately, and countless runes appeared on the surface, twisted like tadpoles, and glowed. Its cultivation level rose from the middle stage of the Tribulation Realm to the peak of the Tribulation Realm. The other 5 Bone Tribe creatures also took out the dark yuan dan and swallowed it. Boom! They were all glowing with a radiant light, their aura was extremely terrifying, their eyes emitted a dark purple light that split the sky, and their cultivation bases all soared from the early stage of the Tribulation to the late stage of the Tribulation. The evil spirit spread like a storm, rippling the void, and 6 powerful figures stretched across the sky, with terrifying murderous intent. Baza felt the boiling power in his body and sneered, "The nether yuan pill given by the messenger is really a good thing." Then, his eyes locked on Li Wuji and shouted, "Human race, die." As he spoke, he raised his hand and hit, and countless huge bone spurs extended in an interlaced manner, trying to stab Li Wuji to death in the air. Haha, come on. Seeing that the other party's cultivation base was far superior to his own, Li Wuji was not afraid, but even more excited. He slashed with all his strength, and countless bone spurs exploded inch by inch. Swish! A blurry afterimage passed by. Li Wuji turned his wrist, his sword skills were unpredictable, and his sword energy was extremely terrifying. Die! Seeing this man fighting across levels, Baza waved his hand in anger, and bone spurs like waves crushed out, and runes with dim light flashed all over the sky, with a strong deterrent power. "Brother, we are here to help you." The second brother, Baki, mobilized all his strength and joined forces with several other brothers to encircle and suppress Li Wuji. Rumble. The battle was very fierce. Li Wuji used his sword skills, and the sword shadows were layered, and the sword energy covered the sky. Even if his cultivation was at a disadvantage, he was fighting one against many. Impossible. How could Yi Junline's apprentice be so strong? Baza was more and more frightened as he fought, and his emotions were directly ignited. He roared, "The secret of the Bone Clan, bone prisoner killing." The next second, Li Wuji felt the air around him suddenly turn cold, and the blood in his body was almost frozen. Countless bone spurs with runes broke through the void and condensed into a square cage, trapping him inside. Not dead yet, Baza grinned, and clenched his right hand fiercely. Buzz, 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 the whole body of the cage was full of blood, runes were flowing rapidly, and the terrifying squeezing feeling increased by tens of millions of times, squeezing the imprisoned Li Wuji into a blood mist. Brother is so powerful, this guy can't survive after this move. The other brothers sneered. Well, Li Wuji felt the crisis now, his bones crackled all over his body, and even the knife in his hand was difficult to swing. But strangely, he did not panic, but the corners of his mouth were crazily raised. Boom, boom, boom. The heartbeat sounded like a drum, and each beat was heavy. The blood in Li Wuji's body was boiling, veins on his forehead were bulging, his black hair was dancing wildly, his eyes quickly turned red, his face gradually became ferocious, and he exhaled black air that seemed to be materialized. Is this the blood of the mad demon? Li Wuji's breathing was extremely heavy, and the idea of killing filled his mind. The ink knife in his hand slashed wildly, and the knife light expanded rapidly like a destructive ball of light. There was a loud bang. This bone cage was instantly reduced to ashes. At this time, Li Wuji was worthy of the name of the knife demon. He was like an ancient demon king awakening, and the sense of oppression spread like a tidal wave. Those eyes burst out with bloody light that soared into the sky. The sky and the earth lost their color, and the wind and clouds were stirred. The 6 heroes of the Bone Clan were so scared that their faces changed drastically. They had never seen such a scene. Who exactly is Yi Junline? Even such a person is willing to be his apprentice. Chapter 129. C-129 Please, stop fighting. Continue. A voice filled with murderous intent sounded, and people couldn't help but feel cold in their hearts. Li Wuji's black hair was flying wildly, his face was twisted like a madman, his eyes were bloodshot, he stepped forward and slashed with the ink knife in his hand at the same time. The vast sword light spread like waves, and the void along the way was shattered. I don't believe it. You are just in the early stage of the tribulation realm. How strong can you be? Baza was furious and stretched out his hand to grab it. The white palm was covered with dim light, and runes were intertwined. Boom! Both sides burst into a fierce attack. Roar! Li Wuji roared, pouring all his strength into the ink knife. The sword light released a destructive breath, and blood-colored lightning intertwined wildly. Baza felt a sharp pain in his arm, and a touch of shock flashed in his eyes. Its cultivation has reached the peak of the tribulation, and with the blessing of the Nether Yuan pill, its strength has undergone earth-shaking changes. Even so, even with its full effort, it was blocked by this person. In some cases, it even had a tendency to lose. Kill, 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 kill. Li Wuji screamed and swung his sword continuously. The sword light crisscrossed, the sword energy rolled like waves, and the whole sky seemed to be broken into pieces. Baza spit out blood, and his back was cold. Even it was like this, let alone the other few people, who were all screaming and shattered by Li Wuji at this time. Swish! At this moment, a peerless figure descended, with a striking red sleeve fluttering, a transcendent temperament, and gorgeous flames surrounding him like a galaxy, extremely extraordinary. When this person appeared, the temperature around him rose instantly. Hong Chenny looked at Li Wuji, who was like a madman, and said, "It's really ugly. It takes so long to deal with these guys. Master is afraid that you will be too deeply possessed by the devil, so he sent me to help you get rid of them." Peak of tribulation, this woman is also Yi Junline's apprentice. Baza's heart was pounding, and he had a deeper understanding of the horror of the rumored man. Li Wuji's face was ferocious, his eyes were red like a beast, and he turned his head and shouted at Hong Chenny, "Get out. They are my prey. Asshole, do you have the guts to say it again?" Hong Chenny almost thought he heard it wrong. His beautiful and flawless face was full of coldness, staring at Li Wuji, who was disrespectful to him. He is the eldest brother, the highest status, second only to that shameless guy. Now that Li Wuji has spoken back, Hong Chenny feels embarrassed and annoyed. Li Wuji swung his sword to suppress the 6 heroes of the Bone Clan, and cursed, "I'm talking about you, you stinky bitch. If you dare to bully me again, I will chop you to death immediately." Bang! Hong Chenny's forehead seemed to be hit by a heavy hammer, and his head was buzzing. He couldn't believe it. This guy really cursed. Especially the 3 words, "stinky bitch," which were like a sharp blade piercing his heart. Shame, great shame, good, very good. Hong Chenny's hair fluttered, his eyes burst out with a chilling light, and he laughed in anger, "I'll see how capable you are." Swish, a pair of wings condensed by purple true flames appeared behind him. When they flapped, terrifying scorching air waves rolled, and the red flames spread in all directions, turning everything along the way into scorched earth. True flame purple phoenix wings. All 6 of you, get out of my way. Hong Chenny turned into a streak of light and flew away, with the majestic and domineering purple flame wings behind him flapping, rolling up several bright purple flames. Fuck, Baza and the others were almost burned to ashes, and they were still in shock after escaping in a hurry. At this time, the angry Hong Chenny directly attacked, and his palm was filled with red flames and slapped hard. A super large flame palm print was formed, and the pressure was extremely terrifying, as if all the people in the world were destroyed by this palm. Big flame palm. Li Wuji, who was affected by the crazy bloodline, felt the crisis approaching. Without any hesitation, his eyes were blood red like the sea, and he screamed, "Come on." Swish, the black sword light crossed the sky, and the sky was dim. Boom! The explosion sounded through 90,000 miles, the terrifying energy fluctuations were vast and boundless, and the terrible airflow raged around. Submit or not, Hong Chenny flapped a pair of purple flame wings behind him. His posture was superior to all living beings, looking down at the knife-wielding figure, and questioned with a look of contempt. "Little guy, can't I deal with you?" Li Wuji was covered in blood, and his breath was very disordered. His eyes were frighteningly red, filled with the light of killing, his body was shaking violently, and his mouth was emitting unbridled laughter. "Ha ha ha ha, cool, so fucking cool. Stinky woman, come again, let me taste how powerful you are." Hearing such provocative words, Hong Chenny's eyes twitched, and the anger in his heart was like a volcano erupting, quickly burning his chest, and there were wisps of green smoke on his head. He was so angry that he was smoking. "If you are stubborn, I will teach you a lesson." Swish! Hong Chenny flapped his true flame purple phoenix wings, and his body turned into a stream of light and flew away, setting off a raging flame, and the scorching air waves rolled. Roar! Li Wuji's face was full of blue veins, his neck was stiff and he roared, his sharp teeth were drooling, his body was filled with terrible demonic energy, his black hair was flying wildly, like a crazy demon. Rumble. The two sides fought fiercely again. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The scene was like the end of the world. Big brother, why are they fighting? The other 5 brothers were very confused, and were frightened by this level of competition. It's so terrible. They are both in the tribulation realm, but the gap is so big. It's outrageous. Baza swallowed his saliva, then came to his senses and said angrily, "What do you mean? You left us aside, are you looking down on us? The 6 heroes of my bone clan have never suffered such grievances." Yes. The second brother, Baki, gritted his teeth and said, "I think it is necessary to use real strength to let these people see what power is." "In that case, let's use that trick," Baza said in a deep voice. At the same time, the other cultivators were stunned, their expressions showing a bit of bewilderment in their shock. What's going on? Those two seem to be Senior Yi's disciples. Yeah, why are they fighting? It's not because of a fight for favor. On Kunpeng, Bai Shaoxi shouted anxiously, Stop, please stop fighting. Senior brother Hong, junior brother Li, calm down. Shushu will make you something delicious. Yi Junlin, who was leaning on the recliner, took a big sip of milk tea and looked at the fight in the distance, speechless. Damn, are you kidding me? Why are they fighting? Yi Junlin originally wanted to be lazy and let his disciples deal with the Nether Abyss army, but he didn't expect that the situation would deviate to this extent. That's, Yi Junlin noticed something and couldn't help but sit up straight. At this time, the situation changed. The 6 heroes of the Bone Clan began to form seals, releasing a mysterious aura, and their bodies were filled with brilliant purple light, crackling from head to toe. Are you ready, brother? We are ready. Okay, in that case. Baza shouted, I will form the head. Swish, its body transformed and flew away, condensing into a hideous and huge head. The rest of the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th brothers also turned into streams of light and rushed into the sky, and firm voices resounded through the sky one after another. I will form the torso. I will form the right hand. I will form the left hand. I will form the right leg. I will form the left leg. Swish swish swish, accompanied by the shining of a bright light ball as bright as the sun, a terrifying figure standing tall and like a demon god emerged. The phalanx of the Nether Abyss army in front of it, and the Dharma images condensed by it, seemed as small as ants compared to it. This behemoth, with a volume of 500,000 meters, even the magnificent mountains and rushing rivers are just like meridians in it, and the aura of cultivation has reached the perfect level of tribulation. When he raised his hand, the sky and the earth collapsed, and the sun and the moon were extinguished. The power overwhelmed everything. Wu Yangfeng and his men felt numb, their mouths dry, and their faces full of shock. 100 miles away, Zhao Linger left Wei and hurried to help. She was secretly glad in her heart that Wei was occupied by a Nether Abyss team. After she arrived, she killed them all, and then went to the palace to check the situation, and finally found her father and mother in the secret room. Seeing that her relatives were safe, Zhao Linger was relieved and went to Heimeling to join the expeditionary army. Wait, what is that? Zhao Linger stopped moving, and a flash of extreme shock flashed across her beautiful eyes. In the distant sky, there was a terrifying figure that reached the vast sky and was covered by clouds, exuding a murderous aura that swept the world. It was so big that even Zhao Linger, who was far away, could see it standing there, looking down on all directions. Have you two finished fighting? The super giant formed by the fusion of the 6 heroes of the Bone Clan, with the head controlled by the eldest brother Baza, made a sound from his mouth, and the grand sound was like a magic sound filling the ears, with a deterrent effect. As soon as Hong Chenyi slapped Fei Li Wuji, he saw this huge monster standing in front of him, with 2 big sun-like pupils burning with dark green flames, looking down at them coldly. Even Hong Chenyi felt a sense of crisis in his heart, and his eyes became solemn. On the other side, Kunpeng was very uneasy, his eyes widened, because he had never seen anything bigger than it. Wow! Bai Shaoxi raised his head and exclaimed. Yi Junlin was amazed. Interesting, very interesting. The aura of the 6 heroes of the Bone Clan after they merged was not weaker than the 3 saints of the Hanging Temple before. In fact, to some extent, it was even stronger. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 times 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 130. C-130 Law of Heaven and Earth. At this time, the giant skeleton stepped on the ground, with the vast sky above his head, looking down on the world and exerting pressure on all directions. All living beings in front of it are not even as good as ants, as if they are as small as dust. Feeling the strong sense of oppression, Hong Chen's eyes revealed deep fear. Haha, are you scared? Baza was proud and very proud. After the 6 brothers merged, not only would their realm be improved, but their strength would also be integrated and surged. With the assistance of the Nether Yuan pill, the effect would be even more like divine help. Baza even believed that with the combat power exerted after the fusion, no one below the true immortal would be invincible. No one could fight. That's how confident. Hong Chen sneered. Huh, what opponents have I not seen? Besides, how long can you maintain this state? Hearing this, Baza was furious. I'm so old, and you still dare to look down on me. Damn woman, you die. With the connection of consciousness, he raised his palm and slapped it hard. The sound of sonic boom exploded, and the air collapsed to form a vacuum. This slap can definitely destroy a country. Hong Chen's face changed slightly, and he used all his strength to activate the true flame purple phoenix wings. His body turned into a crimson streamer and flashed in an instant, and the speed was so fast that it was unimaginable. Swish, dodge this slap without bias. You dodge it quickly. Baza sneered, his eyes firmly locked on the figure, raised his hands and clapped them fiercely. Boom, the terrifying squeezing feeling came immediately. Hong Chen clenched his teeth, and the pair of majestic and domineering purple flame wings behind him flapped vigorously, rising wildly at an incredible speed. Snap, the clapping sound resounded between heaven and earth, and a strong airflow vibrated between the palms. Little fly. Baza was a little unhappy and insulted him with words. No matter how fast you fly, you can't avoid the fate of being slapped to death by me in the end. How dare you? Hong Chen was furious. After all, he was once an immortal who looked down on all living beings. Now he was actually called a fly by this lowly dark creature. Who can stand this? Whoosh! Hong Chen activated the true flame purple phoenix wings, and the wings flapped violently, rolling up the monstrous purple divine flames and sweeping away. The temperature could melt the mountains and rivers, and the power was terrifying. In an instant, the arm of the supergiant skeleton was burned crazily by the purple divine flames, emitting sizzling hot air. How does it taste? Hong Chen sneered. Baza frowned at first, then relaxed, and the corners of his mouth cracked into an exaggerated arc. It's quite warm, and you are a nice person. What? Hong Chen was stunned. This did not meet his expectations. The Bone clan is naturally defensive, relying on their solid bone armor to resist all kinds of damage. Now that Baza and the others have merged into one, their defense is already terrifying. I don't believe that I can't break your defense. Hong Chen was stimulated and no longer held back, going all out. Swish, swish, swish. One after another, the big flame palms were violently slapped out, carrying the raging red flames, like a violent storm. Rumble, the overwhelming explosion sounded. The upper body of the supergiant bone man, light balls of different sizes bloomed, and the scene was very terrifying. Hearing the feedback from the other brothers in his mind, Baza's expression changed, staring at Hong Chen. Damn woman, you hurt my brother. The roar resounded through the sky. It gathered strength and swung its fist, and the fist print was like the setting sun, full of momentum, and it blew up several big flame palms. Not good. Hong Chen's scalp tingled, and the purple flame wings behind him turned into flowing light, condensing in front of him to form a purple flame shield with runes flowing. Bang! The purple flame shield vibrated violently, and the huge fist was blocked in front of the shell. Hong Chen clenched his teeth, and his forehead was full of sweat. Baza grinned and said, "Die for me." The fist force was as surging as the sea, and continued to bless. Boom! The terrifying energy fluctuations shattered the purple flame shield. With a whoosh, Hong Chen was knocked thousands of meters away, like a comet falling into the mountains, and the mushroom cloud bloomed high. The surrounding dust was flying, and among the rocks, a figure coughed blood and stood up with difficulty. Unless my cultivation level goes further, I become a strong man who has passed the tribulation perfectly, and practice stronger fire magic, otherwise I will not be the opponent of this monster. Looking at the supergiant skeleton in front of him, Hong Chen's face was very ugly, and he felt the obvious gap in strength. Hey, senior brother Hong, what a coincidence that you are here too. A familiar voice sounded nearby. Hong Chen turned his head and saw Li Wuji greeting him awkwardly. Li Wuji was in a state of demonic possession just now. Later, he was slapped away by Hong Chen. His mind was much clearer, so he simply sat cross-legged here and relied on his willpower to get rid of the influence. As a result, when he recovered and stood up, he saw Hong Chenny was also beaten here. Hong Chenny was in a bad mood to begin with. After seeing Li Wuji, he thought of the conflict just now and said coldly with a dark face, "Junior brother Li, it seems that you have sobered up. Do you remember what you said before?" Li Wuji's expression froze, touched his nose, and laughed dryly, "You are embarrassing me. I really don't remember what happened just now, let alone what I said. If I offend you, please bear with me." Although he was affected by the crazy bloodline just now and his mind was a little confused, he was able to vaguely recall it after returning to normal. But Li Wuji would definitely not admit this. These days, the world of cultivation is highly involution. With so much pressure, you can still go crazy openly. This opportunity is rare. Hong Chenny stared closely at Li Wuji's face, trying to find clues. Li Wuji felt a little guilty, and quickly turned his head to look at the super giant skeleton man, exclaiming exaggeratedly, "Holy crap! What is this? Senior brother Hong, you were sent here because of it. It's really hard to pick up any pot." Hong Chenny's face was gloomy. "Yes, are you surprised?" Li Wuji sneered. "Senior brother Hong is so powerful, I'm afraid he's not giving in to him." Hong Chenny resisted the urge to take action. "If you are so good at talking, why don't you say more?" Suddenly, Li Wuji seemed to have seen something, and his expression changed drastically. "No, that monster is approaching master. It seems like it is going to take action." Hong Chenny looked at it intently. He wanted to see how that guy would deal with this super giant skeleton man next. In terms of defensive power, it is almost invincible, and its strength is rare in the world. It can shake mountains and rivers 90,000 miles away. From a certain perspective, this kind of existence can be said to have no weaknesses. "Master, master, it's coming." Bai Shaoxi was so frightened that her delicate body trembled, and her furry rat face showed fear. Kunpeng looked at the huge beast approaching and felt very uneasy. If the master hadn't given the order, it would have turned around and ran away. "Yi Junlin, you are so trusting. Are you so confident that you can suppress us with your 2 apprentices?" The huge and dull sound sounded like a bell, echoing across the 9 heavens, causing the vast clouds to disperse. Those sun-like eyes emitted a strange green light, which was breathtaking. Aha! 2 green beams of light came and enveloped the silver-haired young man. "Now, it's your turn," Baza shouted. Seeing the other party approaching him, Yi Junlin stood up reluctantly. "I know you are in a hurry, but don't be anxious yet." Then, he began to stretch his waist and move his muscles. Baza's face looks ugly. "What does this mean? Are you looking down on these 6 brothers?" Baza wanted to slap him, but based on his intuition, he felt that this person gave him a sense of danger. After Yi Junlin finished his activity, he looked away and said playfully, "You think you are good at fighting now, right?" "What else?" Bazaar sneered condescendingly. Yi Junlin was like a speck of dust in his eyes. Yi Junlin clicked his fingers. "Remember your proud posture now, because later you will kneel down and cry for mercy." Hear the words. Baza was stunned at first, and then became furious. This human race is so arrogant. Just when it was about to hit it with its fist, the figure as small as dust in front of it actually took the initiative to fly up from Kunpeng. The Laws of Heaven and Earth. Chapter 131. C-131 Wing Chun. Accompanied by a clear voice resounding in all directions. In an instant, Yi Junlin's figure skyrocketed out of thin air and began to grow huge at an incredible speed. Rumble. At this moment, a vast and majestic body stands between heaven and earth, with long silver-white hair hanging like a river of stars, and blazing eyes like the sun hanging high in the sky. The light is overwhelming, and upon closer inspection, it seems to contain the stars of the universe, extremely bright. Looking at Yi Junlin, who was 2 heads taller than him, Baz's expression was full of shock. "You, what are you doing?" The monks who witnessed this scene were stunned and couldn't believe that Senior Yi could be so big. "Oh my god!" Zhao Ling'er, who rushed to the scene, looked at the majestic figure and was so shocked that she stretched out her hand to cover her lips. Her beautiful eyes showed shock, and she swallowed saliva in her throat. "Lord Yi Feng, it's really big now." "Fuck." Li Wuji's eyes almost fell out, and then he said with an envious look, "Master is master, if only I could be this big." "Isn't this too big?" Hong Chenny was shocked. Why did the other party always have methods he had never seen before? Yi Junlin, who was behind the magic of heaven and earth, looked down at the tiny mountains and rivers below, as well as all the living beings described as dust, and suddenly felt very strange. Then, looking at the giant skeleton man who was shorter than himself, Yi Junlin's lips curled up with pride, and he felt a sense of pride in his heart. "See, I'm older than you." Baza thought this was strange, but it was obviously a provocation. Immediately it became angry and said, "It's great to be big, right?" After saying that, Baza dodged and struck with his fist. The terrifying wind of the fist swept through the sky and earth, rolling up countless trees and bursting them into pieces. Haha, so what? Yi Junlin smiled playfully and punched him politely. Boom! As if two comets collided, astonishing energy fluctuations were released. The earth was shaking and cracking, mountains were collapsing, and rivers were boiling. Baz's expression changed, and he could feel a terrible resistance, which made him stumble back more than 10 steps, his eyes extremely fearful. Hey, that blow just now hurt me to death, this guy's fist is very hard. Bucky, the second child who formed the right arm, cried out in pain. Second brother, please be patient, we must work together to defeat him now. Baza soothed through the spirit of connection. Then, it looked at the figure in front and shouted angrily, Yi Junlin, don't be so proud of yourself. Yi Junlin shook his head, no, my name is not Yi Junlin. Call me, Ip Man. As he said that, Yi Junlin put one hand behind his back and slowly put the other hand in front of him. In the standard Wing Chun starting position, he shouted in a deep voice, Wing Chun Ip Man, please give me some advice. Bizarre, what's going on with this guy? Is there something wrong with your brain? I don't care what your name is. All I know is that now I'm going to beat you to death. Baza said angrily. With a bang, the ground collapsed and a huge pit appeared. The supergiant skeleton flew away, swinging out its whip legs like a swimming dragon and slashing at Yi Junlin. Yi Junlin's face was calm, and he gently moved his palms to push away the heavy and powerful whip leg. Then he immediately came to the opponent's side and struck with Wing Chun fists like rain. Bang 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 bang, the supergiant skeleton man suffered intensive blows, and there were faint signs of shattering in the bone armor all over his body, leaving countless cracks. Yi Junlin, blood flowed from the corner of Baz's mouth. He screamed and punched wildly, and the bastard punched him in greeting. I told you, call me Ip Man. Or, Master Yi. Yi Junlin had a serious look on his face, and he responded to the moves with ease. The whole process was done in one go, and his movements were cool and unrestrained, which was very entertaining to watch. For a great expert in the tribulation realm, this kind of mortal boxing technique is too easy to master, and he can even deduce it more perfectly by himself. Ah, I'm going to kill you. Baza was furious, feeling like he was being teased from beginning to end. Aren't they strong enough now? Logically speaking, the supergiant skeleton man in this form abandons all kinds of magic and relies solely on physical defense and strength, and has achieved the ultimate in this aspect. Unless the legendary true immortal comes, no one can defeat them. But now, Yi Junlin's surprise happened. Bang 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 bang. Yi Junlin's Wing Chun skills were unpredictable, causing Baza to vomit blood and find it difficult to resist. The only martial arts in the world that can't be defeated is speed. Punch fast, hard and accurate, and his moves are deadly. In the eyes of countless shocked eyes, this supergiant skeleton man was covered in blood, the bone armor covering it was in pieces, and the runes on it were dim, showing how severely damaged it was. Master, come on, Master, come on. Bai Shaoxi waved her pink fist and shouted excitedly. Senior Yi is mighty, Yang Feng and the others said excitedly. At this time, Baza was beaten like a dog, and his spiritual world became even more chaotic. His other 5 brothers screamed one after another, and the noise was so loud that his brain was about to explode. It hurts me to death. It hurts me to death. Stop fighting, brother, please beg for mercy. I really can't stand it anymore. Ah, I'm going to die. Baz's heart was like a turbulent sea, and his fear was beyond words. Is there any mistake? The human race actually has such a powerful existence. If I had known it, it would not have recommended itself and came to suppress this remote dojo. Bang! Yi Junlin's fist was like a meteorite that cut through the sky and landed on Baz's face, making it look bloody. Do you accept or not? I don't accept. 2 minutes later. Do you accept or not? Human race, I will fight you. After a while, do you accept or not? Baza knelt on the ground with blood all over his face, clasped his fists and begged for mercy humbly. I accept, I really accept, Master Yi, please spare my life. Yi Junlin looked down on him. I said, no one can fight better than me. Yes, 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 Baza nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. Humph, do you really think that I will let you go if you beg for mercy like this? Accept the iron fist of justice. Yi Junlin's eyes were shining, and his fist gathered infinite power and smashed on Baza's head. No, with a loud bang, the head was blown up. If the eldest brother dies, we will also. The mental fluctuations of the other 5 brothers were full of fear and despair, because they knew what it meant to lose their heads. Soon, this mental fluctuation disappeared, and the headless supergiant corpse collapsed to the ground, and then gradually turned into vast mountains and rivers. This is the disadvantage of the unique magic of the 6 heroes of the Bone Clan. As long as the eldest brother, who is the dominant figure, dies during the maintenance process, the other 5 brothers will also die. At this moment, countless awe-inspiring eyes gathered on this towering figure. We won! We won! Everyone cheered, and the cheers were like a tsunami, one wave higher than the other, as if immersed in the ocean of victory. I knew you could do it. Zhao Linger murmured to herself, with crystal tears flashing. Kunpeng made a cheerful cry, swung his body and flew in front of the giant, rubbing his arm intimately with his big head. Yi Junlin touched its head and sighed. Akun, can you understand my mood now? Invincible, how lonely. Since his debut, he has never lost a fight. Hong Chenny couldn't help but roll his eyes. Listen, is this human language? Looking at the majestic existence that was about to stand shoulder to shoulder with the sun, Li Wuji was full of admiration and sighed sincerely, Master is really big and strong. Chapter 132. C-132 Versailles, right. Soon, Yi Junlin returned to his normal form. The reason why he was able to defeat the 6 heroes of the Bone Clan after they merged was because he had the blessing of the Supreme Bone and practiced the immortal body art, so his physical defense and strength were already very strong. In addition, after performing the magic of heaven and earth, it was multiplied many times on this basis, so it was easy to beat the 6 heroes of the Bone Clan. Amid warm cheers, Yi Junlin returned to Kunpeng calmly, and Hong Chenny and Li Wuji also came to him and tactfully admitted their mistakes for the conflict that had just occurred. Master, we have embarrassed you. Yi Junlin said unhappily. Tell me about you. Fellow disciples are still fighting each other, what is this called? This is called fellow disciples killing each other. It will be so bad if it gets out. Hey, at this critical moment, the master has to take action. Being scolded by the silver-haired young man in front of them, Li Wuji and Hong Chenny lowered their heads and did not dare to show any dissatisfaction. Master Yi Feng. At this time, Zhao Linger's voice came from a distance. Zhao Linger looked at the Kunpeng floating in the sky and asked carefully, can Linger go up to see you? Of course. Yi Junlin waved his sleeves, and a magical power quickly spread, rolling Zhao Linger to the back of Kunpeng. After Zhao Linger stood firm, she opened her beautiful eyes curiously. She didn't expect that this mount actually carried an island comparable to a paradise. Master Yi Feng, you really know how to enjoy it. It just so happens that we are going back to Xuantian sect now, you can also come with us. After the fight, Yi Junlin leaned back on the reclining chair boredly and continued to enter the state of playing badly. In his opinion, the amount of exercise just now was enough, and more would really exceed the standard. Okay, Zhao Linger looked a little strange, feeling that the performance of Master Yi Feng in front of her was completely different from what she had seen before. Giving people a very loose and casual feeling. This is completely opposite to the glorious image that the sect master described when teaching Xuantian sect disciples, that Master Yi Feng was always working hard to cultivate and forge ahead, and diligently comprehending the great Tao. Shaoxi, a cup of taro milk tea. Yi Junlin snapped his fingers. Okay. Bai Shaoxi hurried to the workbench, made a cup of it quickly, inserted a straw and handed it to Yi Junlin. Master, your taro milk tea. Yi Junlin took the milk tea, slurped it with a straw in his mouth, and said to Zhao Linger, who was stunned on the spot, would you like a cup? The milk tea made by Shushu is delicious. Bai Shaoxi proudly puffed up her chest, her voice tender and crisp. Zhao Linger couldn't refuse, and said a little flattered, thank you, senior sister Bai. Oh, no trouble. Bai Shaoxi ran to make another cup, walked to Zhao Linger with short legs, handed over the freshly made milk tea, eyes sparkling, here, try it. It was the first time for Zhao Linger to drink this new drink. When she bit the straw carefully and sucked, the taste of melting in the mouth, the fragrance of taro, and the lingering fragrance on the lips and teeth made her, who usually only drank mountain spring nectar, feel a great sense of happiness in her heart. How is Shushu's cooking? Bai Shaoxi asked expectantly. It's delicious, senior sister Bai, you are amazing. Zhao Linger couldn't help but sigh, and her pretty face showed satisfaction. Oh, it's okay. Bai Shaoxi shyly scratched her cheek with her fingers after receiving praise from others. Zhao Linger was no longer reserved. She sucked with a straw, immersed in the joy of drinking milk tea, with curved eyebrows and happy eyes. Suddenly, her eyes glanced at the red-dressed figure. The dead memory attacked her again. In her mind, the scene of the other party kneeling in front of Yi Junlin, with her head lowered and raised, as if she was struggling to do something, flashed in her mind, and Zhao Linger's cheeks inexplicably flushed. Hong Chenny frowned. Why is this woman's expression weird? I remember it was the same when I left Wei State. Could it be that she fell in love with me? Since his debut, he has always killed men with this image, but never killed women. By the way, this is my third new disciple, who I plan to take to Xuantian sect together. Yi Junlin said. Li Wuji showed a kind face and bowed to Zhao Linger, saying, Junior sister Zhao, I am Li Wuji. It is my honor to join Xuantian sect. You are the sword demon Li Wuji. I have heard of you and have admired you for a long time. Zhao Linger did not dare to neglect and bowed quickly. Haha, it seems that I am really famous. Li Wuji scratched his head, and felt his face light up, and his smile became even bigger. Hong Chenny couldn't stand this guy's complacency, and sneered, don't think too much, it's just notorious. The smile on Li Wuji's face disappeared instantly. Fuck, you did it on purpose, didn't you? You are not bad, Fairy Hong. Yi Junlin sipped a sip of milk tea, winked, and his expression was very worthy of a beating. Hong Chenny's mouth twitched. He hated this title the most. If it spread to the central region, wouldn't his enemies laugh to death? Ahem, it's okay. Although he was very unhappy, Hong Chenny didn't dare to get angry with this man, so he could only keep smiling, and his smile was very stiff. Seeing this guy being humiliated, Li Wuji felt much happier and silently gave his master a thumbs up. Besides him, there is also, Yi Junlin suddenly realized something and said unhappily, where is Xiao He? Where did he hide again? In the entire team, this mushroom has the weakest presence. Fourth junior brother, master is looking for you. Li Wuji shouted. After a long while, the big mushroom king reluctantly jumped out of the grass. Oh my god, this is the best medicine king. Zhao Linger was surprised. She didn't expect Master Yi to accept this kind of ancient medicine as his apprentice. So far, she has only seen precious medicines, let alone the rarer medicine kings and the legendary top medicine kings. Hello, the big mushroom king said anxiously. I don't know why, but now everyone wants to eat it, or they all have ulterior motives and want to stew it into mushroom soup. Zhao Linger was a little confused. Master Yi really had a different habit of recruiting disciples. Wait, even an ancient medicinal plant is accepted as a disciple. Is this what the great Confucian said, there is no discrimination without distinction? Invisibly, the image of that man in her mind was much taller. With the cheers of the monks, Kunpeng left Heimeling and flew to Xuantian sect very quickly at its speed. At this time, Xuantian sect was opening the mountain protection formation, and everyone was huddled inside, completely unaware of the changes taking place in the outside world. When Kunpeng appeared with supreme momentum, the Xuantian sect, which had been strictly defensive, fell into a huge shock. Fuck, what kind of monster is that? Don't talk nonsense, I remember this as Lord Yi's mount, called Kunpeng. In this case, Master Yi is back. As the news swept through, all the Xuantian sect monks were alarmed. The sect leader Xu Yunian and the others rushed out quickly. When they saw the familiar figure in front of them, their faces were full of excitement and they shouted. Junior brother Yi, brothers and sisters, I'm back. Yi Junlin smiled. Okay, just come back. As long as you are here, we won't be afraid even if the Mingyuan army comes again. Xu Yunian said happily as if he hadn't seen Yi Junlin for a long time, with tears in his eyes. His cultivation level is impressively Mahayana perfection. That's right, it was caused by turning on the sundial. Xu Yunian stayed in it for more than 3,000 years before he reached this state. Otherwise, when the Mingyuan army invaded Guangzhou, he would not have been able to lead the Xuantian sect to gain the upper hand. However, Bazaar appeared later and the battle situation was instantly reversed. But even so, Xu Yunian led everyone back to the sect to unite their forces. Resist tenaciously. Several other peak masters, whose cultivation levels are also in the middle and late stages of Mahayana, all looked like they had not seen Yi Junlin for a long time. Their eyes were red and they missed him very much. Yi Junlin said softly, has our sect's mountain protecting formation been changed? I remember it was not like this when I left. I remember that it was a formation that he personally modified, which could withstand attacks from ordinary Mahayana realms. Now compared to his time, the scale and power of the mountain protecting formation have become even more powerful. I saw that each mountain peak was shrouded in a layer of blazing light, and there were faint yin and yang bagua diagrams circulating. The master of the Fu formation peak was a middle-aged fat man with a fat head and big ears. He scratched his head and said, Junior brother Yi, this is the Tai innate Bagua formation. You gave me a lot of formation diagrams last time. I have been studying it at Sundial for many years. The ability of the formation has also been improved, so appropriate changes have been made on the original basis. After this formation is turned on, it can resist attacks from ordinary Tribulation Realm attacks, and the most powerful thing is that it can absorb the power of everyone and improve the effectiveness of the formation. Power, use softness to overcome hardness, and combine hardness and softness. Yes, fortunately, Junior Brother Jin improved the formation. We relied on the advantages of this formation to resist the attacks of the Abyss Army again and again. Otherwise, we would have been crushed long ago. The Master of Hidden Sword Peak was still frightened. The Master of Tianxiang Peak has a graceful figure and a slender waist. He joked. Junior Brother Yi, it turns out that you have been cultivating to the Tribulation Realm quietly for a long time. Did you not reveal it before because you were afraid of scaring us? Yi Junlin said truthfully. I have no interest in cultivation, just let everything take its course. Realm and other things are just clouds in my eyes. This is true. Now, he has lost the pain of practicing hard. Anyway, he only needs to meet someone with a higher level of cultivation than him. And with his current state of transcending tribulation and perfection, if he wants to go further, he can only meet a true immortal level powerful person. The only one who can do it. But to others, this sounds like pure boss pretentiousness, Versailles. Please explain to me, what does it mean to have no interest in cultivation? What does it mean that the realm is all clouds? If it weren't for your hard work, would you be able to cultivate to the realm of transcending tribulation? Junior Brother Yi, you are getting more and more humorous. The Master of Tianxiang Peak covered his mouth and chuckled. Suddenly, she noticed Zhao Ling'er who was hiding behind the team. Her gorgeous face suddenly changed, and she scolded, Ling'er, why are you there? Aren't you staying at Xuantian sect? Could it be that you ran out secretly? These are extraordinary times, and this practice is subject to sect rules. Zhao Ling'er also knew that he was in the wrong, so he shrank his neck in fear. Master, Ling'er did sneak out. He wanted to go to Wei State to check on his family. Later, he was caught by the creatures of the abyss on the road. Fortunately, Master Yi Feng, you saved me. Master, this time it's my problem, please calm down. You, the Master of Tianxiang Peak, was furious. This was her most beloved disciple. If something went wrong, it would be too late to regret it. Junior Brother Yi, you came just in time. Now the Mingyuan army is stationed in Wangzhou. We have been fighting with them for a long time. The leader is the king of the Bone Clan, and his cultivation level is also in the Tribulation Realm. Although you are very strong, but you have to be careful, Shu Yunian said seriously. All the peak masters nodded, with lingering fears. Zhao Ling'er said, Sect Master, you don't know yet, the Mingyuan army has just been destroyed, and the leader of the Bone Clan King was also killed by Lord Yi Feng. Now our Wangzhou has been liberated long ago. What? The sect leader and the others opened their eyes wide and looked at the silver-haired young man in disbelief. Yi, Junior Brother Yi, is this true? Yi Junlin shrugged, yes, as long as you have hands. Chapter 133. C-133. Let's get excited. Hearing this, everyone's expression was very interesting. If anyone dared to act so arrogant before, they would definitely teach him a lesson, but now it's the man in front of them, oh, forget it. Junior Brother Yi, you are really good. You just came back and gave us a big surprise. Shu Yunian said excitedly. During this period, as the leader of the sect, he was very anxious, fearing that Xuantian sect would be broken by the army of Mingyuan one day, so that all members would have to die, and he knew that it would be a matter of time if it dragged on. But now, this crisis has finally been resolved. Hurry up, let Junior Brother Yi come in, we can't wait to hear what interesting things he encountered outside in the past year or so. The leader of Kangjian Peak said. The mountain protection formation was removed, and everyone returned to Xuantian sect. The sect cheered and the elders and disciples were extremely excited, feeling that they had survived the disaster and regained a new life. After all, during this period, it was really uncomfortable to hide in Xuantian sect. Now that the crisis is over, they suddenly feel enlightened and cry with joy. When they heard that it was Master Yi Feng who killed the Bone Clan King and saved the Wasteland State, they all regarded him as a god descending from heaven, and their eyes were extremely fanatical. Master Yi Feng, we love you. Many fair-skinned, beautiful, and slender female disciples in the sect rushed out and shouted hysterically to Yi Junlin. Yi Junlin had a smile on his face, but when he saw that many men also joined in, his smile gradually stiffened. Back to Piao Miao Peak. More than a year has passed, and there is still no change here, as if it has been carefully maintained in its original appearance. I have arranged for disciples to take care of it when you are away. Shu Yunian said. So this is where the master lives. Li Wuji looked around, and his admiration arose spontaneously. I guess the master must have realized the truth here, practiced hard, and finally became a top power. Yi Junlin nodded. Since we are here, how about having a meal together? Okay, everyone nodded. Yi Junlin waved his hand, and some of the ingredients that had been stored before were taken out from the storage space. The ingredients were kept very fresh. Xiaoxi, I leave it to you. Well, let's leave it to Shushu. Bai Xiaoxi was very happy and was ready to show off her skills and let everyone see her cooking skills. Yi Junlin looked at the mushroom-headed boy hiding in the team thoughtfully, and coughed a few times and said, Xiaohei, I'll trouble you again later. The mushroom-headed boy trembled. Sure enough, is this its biggest function? Fourth junior brother, thank you for your trouble. Li Wuji patted the mushroom-headed boy on the shoulder with a serious expression. The mushroom-headed boy wanted to cry but had no tears. He really owed you in his previous life. There was no way. Now that it has boarded the pirate ship and is still in someone else's thief's den, it can't do it even if it is not happy, and it is really afraid that it will be used to make chicken stewed with mushrooms if it is not careful. So, just make the soup, just treat it as a bath when you have nothing to do. Just like that, the mushroom-headed boy turned into his true form and jumped into the black pot with a face full of grief and anger. Zhao Hong, be careful. Yes. Hong Chenny didn't dare to play tricks, and skillfully manipulated the flame to heat the bottom of the pot. After a few minutes, a fragrance floated out of the pot, making people salivate. This is the best big medicine king. Even if it is boiled into soup, many big guys will rush to drink a sip. I didn't expect that we would have a good time today. Brother Yi, your disciple is really worth it. Shu Yunian gave a thumbs up. Yi Junlin smiled and said, as long as you drink the soup boiled from it frequently, even a pheasant can turn into a phoenix and mortals can become immortals. You will drink a few more bowls later. With it in the future, there will be a continuous supply. My Xuantian sect will be a real immortal sect in the future. This idea is second. Shu Yunian slapped his thigh fiercely, and his mouth was so excited that he couldn't close his mouth. The other peak masters had bright eyes and looked at the big mushroom king soaked in the black pot. They swallowed their saliva and had an unprecedented desire to become immortals. The big mushroom king was struggling to adapt to the water temperature. When he heard this, he almost fainted. He regretted it. He thought he was jumping out of his comfort zone and welcoming a new adventure, but he ended up jumping into a big black pot and getting better and better. Then, Yi Junlin told him what he saw and heard after leaving Xuantian sect. Shu Yunian and the others listened quietly. From the Shui family birthday banquet, the Great Zhou dynasty, the Longmen into the Medicine King Valley, they were amused from time to time. Finally, when they heard about the end of the Hanging Temple, they sighed again. Junior brother Yi has had a wonderful life over the past year. The leader of Kangjian Peak said with emotion, your life is my dream. Junior brother Yi, since the destruction of the Hanging Temple and the massacre of the Pure Land Palace were not done by you, who is behind it? The leader of Tianxiang Peak said angrily, they are obviously trying to put the blame on you. Yi Junlin shook his head, there is a black hand behind the scenes, this fire will burn more and more, and no one can stay out of it. Wait, you said that the creatures of the Nether Abyss launched a war for the Stargate, so does our Xuantian sect happen to have one too? Shu Yunian said. I think so. Behind the Stargate are all the worlds connected. In the distant past, cultivators can use this gate to travel to any corner of the universe at will. Think about it carefully, how much strategic value it has. Fuck, the head of Kangjian Peak was shocked, now that you say that, it's true. Junior brother Yi, to be honest, as my cultivation level improves, I feel that Kunlun realm is like a cage. It would be great if I could go outside to take a look. Shu Yunian sighed. According to ancient records, there is a vast universe, magnificent galaxies, and vast heavens and worlds outside the world. But now, even if the Kunlun cultivators have the ability to fly, move mountains and fill the sea, they cannot go out. The only way is to ascend to the fairyland, but this road has stopped many people. Yi Junlin said. I understand what you mean, but judging from the current situation, the closure of the Kunlun world is a kind of protection. If the Stargate is opened, it will be like letting a wolf into the house, and then there will be a tragic scene of war. He did not reveal the news that the fairyland was going to perish, so as not to increase the panic and confusion of the people. We can only take it one step at a time. The other peak masters smiled bitterly. The delicious food is here. Bai Shaoxi wore a chef's hat and turned into a little cook, bringing all kinds of delicious dishes to the table. The color, fragrance and taste are delicious, making people salivate. There is also fresh mushroom soup. Li Wuji came with a big pot, followed by a slightly exhausted mushroom-headed boy, whose legs were as soft as noodles. Everyone ate big bites, their mouths full of oil. Delicious, really delicious. Junior brother Yi, with such a good disciple, your life is too comfortable, right? Think about what kind of life we lived before. In terms of enjoyment, it's you who has to be. Everyone was having fun, and the atmosphere was very happy. After eating and drinking, Yi Junlin burped, wiped his mouth and stood up. I want some music. Master, are you going to improvise? Li Wuji was full of expectations. He had seen Yi Junlin play the guzheng with his own eyes, which was simply the pinnacle. Just thinking about it made his blood boil. It was late at night. Yi Junlin waved his sleeves, and a colorful metal round object flew out, releasing colorful light above Piao Miao Peak. Then, he snapped his fingers again, and rows of speakers appeared around him, and a nightclub-style DJ player appeared in front of him. Yi Junlin silently put on his sunglasses, smiled evilly, made a rock gesture with his right hand, and shouted, "Friends at the scene, get high with me." This is a daily system sign-in thing, which can make people release their inner pressure and dance to electronic music. It is not lethal, and is purely for entertainment. Move, 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 move. As the rhythmic electronic music sounded, everyone was stunned. Shu Union was shocked by this operation, his heart was beating like a drum, and the blood in his body was boiling. This was a piece of music he had never heard before. I don't know why, it's quite exciting. I've learned a lot. Has the outside world developed to this point? The leader of Kangjian Peak and others murmured, thinking that it was a new way of playing that junior brother Yi learned when he went out to travel. Li Wuji was dumbfounded, thinking that this was a product unique to Wangzhou. Hong Chenyi's eyes widened. Where did he learn this trick? Is this thing too advanced? Even when he was in the central region, he had never seen anyone play like this. Suddenly, Hong Chenyi noticed something strange, and his body felt like twisting. This shocked him and was unbelievable. When he raised his head again, the scene in front of him stunned him. Everyone swayed to the electronic music, and there was a visual stimulation of a group of demons dancing wildly. No, I can't be like them, it's too embarrassing. Hong Chenyi forced himself to control his hands and clenched his teeth. 2 minutes later, Hong Chenyi shook his flowery hands and took off on the spot. Everybody, get high with me. On the top of the mountain, there stood a handsome young man with silver hair hanging down to his waist. He wore sunglasses in his eyes and ancient clothes. There were wisps of gas flowing from his fingertips. He quickly rubbed the punk-style DJ and shouted in the dynamic electronic music around him. The whole Piao Miao Peak was shrouded in alternating colored lights, which was particularly eye-catching in the night scene. All over Xuantian sect, whether disciples or elders, they were shocked by the strange vision of Piao Miao Peak. Oh my god, what's going on with Master Yi Feng? What kind of music is this? It's so dynamic. As expected of a wanderer, he has a wide range of knowledge, many tricks, and knows how to play. The whole sect was affected. Many disciples wanted to shake their heads and twist their waists when walking. They felt liberated and very high. Outside, the liberated Wangzhou has restored its previous order. The streets are bustling and crowded. What happened in the end? Tell me, the guests in the tavern urged. The storyteller slammed the gavel in his hand and said in a loud voice, "At the critical moment, I saw the god of death Yi Junlin change his body shape, with the 33 heavens above his head and the vast earth under his feet. He fought with the king of the underworld in an invincible manner, and beat the guy to his knees, crying and begging for mercy. Only then was our desolate state saved." Chapter 134. C-134 Far ahead. Days passed by one after another. As the situation in the eastern region deteriorated, people's resentment boiled, and various cultivation forces issued strong calls. Qingzhou Yuhua sect followed the will of heaven and publicly announced the formation of the Righteous Alliance. From now on, they will launch a war against the creatures of the Nether Abyss, determined to drive them back to the dark Nether Abyss. When this news came out, it immediately caused an uproar. Countless people applauded and were willing to join the Righteous Alliance to contribute their strength. Yuhua sect. In the forbidden area, a golden light column about 100 feet wide burst out, filled with a terrifying atmosphere, and scorching air waves rolled. A handsome young man in a golden robe, his skin shone like red gold, his eyebrows were filled with invincible faith, and his eyes opened and closed, shooting out 2 beams of golden light that split the sky. The body contains explosive energy, as if as long as it is released, it can replace the sun and destroy everything. Tap tap tap. The footsteps are heavy and powerful, like knocking on people's hearts. Every step he took would leave golden footprints, emitting brilliant light, very sacred. Outside the forbidden area, the elders who had heard the news early on all bowed excitedly and said, "Welcome the Holy Son out of retreat." Yes, this is the Holy Son of Yuha sect, Chen Xiao. During this retreat, Chen Xiao relied on his tenacious willpower to finally successfully refine the true fire of the fallen sun in the fairy world, perfectly integrating it into his sun fairy body, and his realm also advanced by leaps and bounds. Now he is already in the middle stage of the tribulation realm. Chen Xiao was very proud in his heart, and felt quite self-centered. After all, with his current cultivation and strength, even his master was not his opponent. In the entire eastern region, there are only a handful of people who can compete with him. Recalling the shame of being defeated in the spotlight, a stern murderous intent flashed in Chen Xiao's eyes. Hong Chenyi and Yi Junlin, this master and disciple pair are the biggest revenge targets in Chen Xiao's mind, especially Yi Junlin, who is the murderer of his father. He would be unworthy of being a son if he doesn't take revenge. In Chen Xiao's last impression, the other party is a perfect Mahayana cultivator. He used to be someone he looked up to, but now, he is only worthy of being trampled under his feet. I, Chen Xiao, am the man who laughs last. Just because I have the appearance of becoming an immortal. Chen Xiao put his hands behind his back, his temperament was extremely sharp, and when he glanced at the elders who bowed and worshipped. Where is Juyong? Why don't you come to see me? I can guide him to break through the tribulation and achieve the position of virtual immortal because of the past master-disciple relationship. There is a sense of commanding in his words. The reason is nothing else, it is the expansion of mentality brought by strength. It's like a poor boy who accidentally gets a huge fortune, rich enough to rival a country, and can point out the country. Will he still be submissive to his former superiors? Even though Juyong is his master, with his cultivation and strength, this relationship has long been in name only. He, Chen Xiao, is going to be the number one in Yuha sect. No one is qualified to ride on his head. No one. The elders looked at each other and hesitated. Chen Xiao frowned. Are you dumb? Speak. Son, not long after you went into seclusion, Juyong has already broken through to the tribulation realm. He is a genuine virtual immortal. The elder of the law enforcement hall looked strange. Oh, Chen Xiao was a little surprised. He didn't expect this old guy to be so fast. But so what? He is in the middle stage of the tribulation realm, with a great sun immortal body, unparalleled combat power, invincible, and he can suppress the early stage of the tribulation realm with just one finger. Humph, I am his apprentice after all. Now that I have successfully come out of seclusion, he doesn't come to congratulate. I am so disappointed in him. Chen Xiao said coldly, without any scruples in his words. Well, the elder of the law enforcement hall said, he can't come because he is gone. What is gone? He is gone. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. Chen Xiao was shocked. How could a virtual immortal who has reached the tribulation realm and has a lifespan of 300,000 years just disappear? Even if he is being hunted by his enemies, he should know how to escape, right? Besides, the eastern region is so big, who dares to attack the people of Yuha sect? Who did it? That person from Xuantian sect. You mean Yi Junlin? Chen Xiao was stunned. Isn't this guy a perfect Mahayana? Could he have just broken through to the tribulation realm a while ago? Damn it, he killed my father and now he has killed my master. If I don't get rid of this person, I will never be able to get rid of the hatred in my heart. Chen Xiao gritted his teeth, his eyes full of bloodshot. It just so happens that he can take this opportunity to make a name for himself, and then settle all the old and new grudges together. Holy Son, don't be impulsive. Yi Junlin is probably not someone you can deal with anymore. The elders said in panic. HMPH, why do you want to boost others' morale and destroy your own prestige? You have also seen the cultivation of this Holy Son. Even if Yi Junlin is in the late stage of the tribulation realm, this Holy Son dares to kill you. What's more, it has only been a short time. He is at most in the early stage of the tribulation realm. Chen Xiao sneered. He has the confidence and the qualifications to say this. The elders looked at Chen Xiao as if they were looking at a fool, with a bit of pity. Bold, what are you looking at? Chen Xiao was angry. He couldn't stand being looked down upon the most. This undoubtedly stimulated his self-esteem. Hey, our previous judgment was wrong. Yi Junlin is just an old monster who likes to hide his strength. He is not in the early stage of the tribulation realm, nor in the late stage of the tribulation realm, but in the perfect stage of the tribulation realm. The elder of the law enforcement hall hung his head and cried sadly. As soon as these words came out, it was like a thunderbolt. Chen Xiao's head was buzzing, his face was pale, and he said in shock, How is it possible? He actually has the perfect cultivation level to overcome the tribulation. What is this concept? The existence that already stands at the pinnacle of the cultivation world in the eastern region is qualified to touch the legendary realm of immortals. Chen Xiao did not expect that his biggest enemy in this life would actually stand at this level early, overlooking all living beings, chatting and laughing. It's a pity that he is still complacent, thinking that he can suppress it and take revenge. What a great irony. Impossible, I don't believe it. Do you have any evidence? Chen Xiao asked with red eyes. Just half a year ago, the Shuangkong temple was destroyed, and the culprit was Yi Junlin. And those who were in charge of the Shuangkong temple were the three saints of the Shuangkong temple who were so powerful in the eastern region. They were all able to overcome the tribulation and achieve perfection, but they were still defeated by him. Defeated, this person is so terrifying. The elder of the law enforcement hall sighed. Holy Son, in terms of cultivation, Yi Junlin is already far ahead. You must not go and die. Hear the words. Chen Xiao was so angry that he clutched his aching chest, his face turned blue and white, and finally he opened his mouth and vomited blood, staggered and fell to the ground. Those words echoed repeatedly in my mind. Far ahead. Far ahead. Far ahead. It took less than half a day for Chen Xiao to go from being so high-spirited when he walked out of the forbidden area to knowing the truth now and being hit mentally again and having his faith defeated. Such a dramatic scene just happened. Chen Xiao only felt that he was like a clown. It was ridiculous that he was so complacent and self-righteous. Holy Son, you must not give up on yourself, not to mention that we are in a state of great change that has never happened in millions of years. You must cheer up and lead the Yuha sect to a higher glory. The elder of the law enforcement hall pulled Chen Xiao's hand. Hands, trembling. A major change that has not happened in millions of years. When Chen Xiao heard this, he slowly raised his head and asked in surprise, what does this mean? Could there be something unexpected happening in the eastern region? The current situation is like this, the elder of the law enforcement hall said. Chen Xiao's eyes burst out with a golden light, and his heart was filled with ups and downs. Now it has turned out like this. It seems that we need to prepare early to resist the invasion of the abyssal creatures. Holy Son, with your cultivation and strength, you will definitely shine in the coming battles. When your reputation reaches its peak, isn't it your position as the future leader of the Yuha sect? Then the resources will be at your disposal. Mobilize, with your monster-level talent, you can become a true immortal just around the corner. Chen Xiao narrowed his eyes, and a goal gradually formed in his mind. He wants to become an immortal. Become an immortal. Only by becoming an immortal can one take revenge. This is the true master of human beings. Subsequently, the news that the Holy Son of the Yuha sect came out of seclusion spread throughout the sect and even Qingzhou. With a smooth operation, Chen Xiao naturally became the youngest commander-in-chief of the Righteous Alliance army. Then, he began to lead his troops to other dojos to clear out the troubled abyss creatures. Relying on his cultivation in the middle stage of the tribulation and the explosive combat power advantage of the Sun immortal body, he can be said to be invincible and invincible. During this period, he rescued large and small occupied areas and made many abyss creatures frightened. His prestige also continued to soar, becoming the center of attention. Gradually, countless monks praised Chen Xiao's deeds, and some even called him the righteous leader of the younger generation. Barren State, Xuantian Sect. In Piaomiao Peak, Yi Junlin was lazily leaning on the recliner. Behind him was his second apprentice, who was kneading and beating his shoulders. From time to time, he opened his mouth and ate the blood grapes sent by his eldest apprentice. He lived a leisurely and comfortable life. Master, this is the latest cultivation world daily. I'll bring it to you and read it to you. Li Wuji coughed a few times and read aloud from the newspaper in his hand. Chen Xiao, the holy son of the Yuha sect, led his troops to conquer Nanzhou, repelled the ghost army, and rescued countless enslaved people. They expressed their extreme gratitude. Next, the young commander announced that he would continue to go north, help Guangzhou, which has been suffering from haze recently. Stop, stop, stop. Yi Junlin said impatiently. Damn, why are there always reports about this guy recently? He can almost feel the calluses on his ears. Li Wuji smiled bitterly and said, Master, now he is the most famous saint son of the Yuha sect. Since he became one of the commanders of the Righteous Alliance army, he has achieved outstanding results, is invincible, and is loved by the monks. Li Wuji heard that his master seemed to have killed his father back then, and also killed his master. This is a bloody feud. Yi Junlin didn't take this to heart. After all, they were the ones seeking their own death. Who was to blame? By the way, what exactly happened in Gongzhou? Yi Junlin asked. He vaguely remembered that the sect that Miaoyi belonged to before seemed to be in Gongzhou. It was called Taoist sect and it was one of the top 10 immortal sects. According to the above, the top kings of the three major races of the Abyss, the Shadow Clan, the Dark Clan, and the Night Clan, who are good at assassination, joined forces to invade Gongzhou a while ago. Many strong men in the Tribulation Realm have been killed so far. The Taoist sect leader Nzizi is injured and the situation is critical. Quote. Yi Junlin was stunned, and when he wanted to say something, a system prompt suddenly sounded in his mind. Ding, congratulations to the host for triggering the sign-in task and going to Gongzhou Taoist sect to sign in. After the sign-in is successful, Kangyuan sword will be upgraded to the fairy level in advance. Close black lens bracket. Dollar window. Underscore tabula equals window. Underscore tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article feed. Placement. Below article feed. Target underscore type. Mix. Chapter 135. C-135 asking for the Tao sect. Immortal weapon. This is incredible. If you have an immortal weapon in your hand before you become an immortal, wouldn't it be as easy as killing a chicken to kill someone in the Tribulation Realm in the future? Extremely generous. Yi Junlin rubbed his chin with a playful smile on his lips. Get ready and set off with your master to the Taoist sect. Li Wuji was stunned, his eyes showed admiration. Master is worthy of being a master. He knows that there are tigers in the mountains but heads to the Tiger Mountains. This is because he wants to go to Gongzhou in person to rescue more compatriots. You know, Gongzhou is now being invaded by the Dark Race, and the top kings who are good at assassinating are specially targeting powerful people who can cross the Tribulation Realm. This has made all the major forces exhausted mentally and physically, and people are panicked. Even the Taoist sect, the #1 immortal sect in Gongzhou, is deeply worried. Suffer from it. Faced with this critical situation, his master was willing to step forward and rush to Gongzhou to help resolutely. It was an act of righteousness. As the saying goes, it is human nature to worship the strong. But compared to simply worshipping powerful power, strong people with noble character are more respected. Therefore, when he saw his master hearing that Taoist sect was in trouble, he immediately decided to go there. Li Wuji was deeply touched in his heart. This proved that his master was exactly such a strong man with noble character. Li Wuji, did not follow the wrong person. Li Wuji took a deep breath and said secretly. Hong Chenny even cast a surprised look. He didn't expect that this guy who was usually far-fetched would actually have such a profound understanding of righteousness. Could it be that I saw it wrong before? Yi Junlin didn't know that because of one of his actions, the two apprentices had all kinds of thoughts. After all, for time travelers, whether it is to save the common people or to watch indifferently, the most important thing is to act arbitrarily and be happy. If you go to Taoist sect and sign in, you can get the legendary fairy weapon. If the conditions permit or if you are interested, you can help people eliminate disasters and gain a good reputation. Anyway, you can do whatever makes you feel comfortable. Akun, hear the master's cry. Ripples appeared in the lake at the back of the mountain. A creature that looked like a blue whale jumped out of the water, flapped its wings and soared into the sky. Its body changed instantly and became huge, exuding a terrifying kingly aura. These days, Kunpeng has been fed by pet beasts, and his realm has also improved. His cultivation is already in the middle stage of the Tribulation Realm. With the rare blood of the mythical beasts, his combat power is at an all-time high. Even if ordinary monks at the peak of the Tribulation Realm saw it, they would not be absolutely sure to suppress it, and would even have to retreat. Walk. Yi Junlin and others came to Kunpeng, and Kunpeng made a loud cry and set off for the destination. Rumble. The sky turned pale, and a huge thing that covered the sky passed by, setting off majestic air currents that made countless trees roar. This huge movement caused the monks of Xuantian sect to raise their heads, point and exclaim. Damn it, that's Master Yi's exclusive mount. Look at this posture, where are you going? Hiss, I can feel that the aura of that mount seems to have become stronger. Good guy, how many cultivators can't catch up with its cultivation level throughout their lives, but even so, they are just Lord Yi's mount. Is this the status of a big boss? Discussions arose. For Xuantian sect, Yi Junlin is a big star in everyone's eyes, and his every move attracts attention. Now that there is sudden movement, it has naturally become the hottest topic within the sect. In the main hall, the sect leader Xu Yunian's eyes were gleaming with lightning, and his body contained terrifying power of thunder and lightning, as if he could bring down divine punishment with just a few movements of his hands. His cultivation level is already at the early stage of the tribulation realm. The enlightenment tea brought by junior brother Yi is so good. Xu Yunian picked up the teacup filled with tea fragrance and took a sip of tea, with a look of intoxication on his majestic face. Several other peak masters were sitting cross-legged on the futon, and their respective cultivation levels had greatly improved, all thanks to this top-quality enlightenment tea. Junior brother Yi is really a god. He always comes up with something we can't imagine. I really want to know how he got it. The master of Hidden Sword Peak took a sip of enlightenment tea and smacked his lips. One sentence. When he put down the teacup, he suddenly felt the temperature around him drop sharply, his hair stood on end, and the chill rushed down his spine to the top of his head. He shivered suddenly, and he was shocked and quickly clarified, "Everyone, I didn't mean anything else. I'm just curious. You know me." The peak master of Tianxiang Peak showed a charming smile on his gorgeous face, his red and plump lips parted slightly, and he said meaningfully, "Senior brother Jian, I don't blame junior sister for not reminding you, curiosity killed the cat." Xu Yunian's eyes were blazing, filled with wisps of thunder and lightning, like two thunderous suns hanging high in the sky, containing a frightening aura. He stared at the master of Hidden Sword Peak and said in a warning tone, "Junior brother Jian, it's better to know some things in your heart, and don't even say it out loud. If you dare to leak it out and bring trouble to junior brother Yi and make others unhappy, then don't blame me as a senior brother for cleaning up the family." Quote. Okay, the master of Hidden Sword Peak was so frightened that cold sweat broke out on his forehead, and he wished he could slap himself in the face. As soon as he finished speaking, the murderous intention surrounding them dissipated, and everyone smiled again, sipping tea and discussing Taoism. It seems as if everything that just happened was an illusion. Only the master of Hidden Sword Peak knows how important junior brother Yi is in everyone's hearts. If he doesn't listen to the advice and continues to ask questions, this friendship will be gone. In fact, when junior brother Yi came back this time, he told us a lot of outside news, but I can see that he still concealed something. Maybe he didn't want us to worry too much. Xu Yunian thought of something, put down the teacup, and sighed. Junior brother Yi is very strong, so strong that I sometimes feel very small in front of him. What I can do is not to make trouble. When he needs it, I am willing to sacrifice my life. With his heavenly appearance, he is destined to embark on an unprecedented road, and for us mediocre people, it is the greatest blessing to be able to stand behind and watch him. So, what to say and what not to say, you must be open-minded, don't get hot-headed and stupid. When Xu Yunian said this, he deliberately glanced at the leader of Kangjian Peak, who lowered his head and dared not look at him. In my life, I am very satisfied to see our Xuantian sect prosper. At least it didn't fall into my hands. With the current foundation of Xuantian sect, even if we meet the people of the Taoist sect in the central region, we are qualified to stand up straight, Xu Yunian murmured. The others looked at each other in bewilderment. For some reason, the central region was suddenly mentioned, and it was even more unclear what kind of Taoist sect it was. But the sect master did not say it clearly, so it was not easy for everyone to ask more. Junior brother Yi, are you going to the Tao sect? Feeling the vibration of the sound transmission ring, Xu Yunian suddenly came back to his senses, frowned and relaxed his brows. After all, with this person's strength, there was nothing to worry about. Gongzhou, Tao sect. In the sky, huge warships can be seen everywhere, and there are patrolling teams of monks around, very alert. On the fairy peak filled with white mist and auspicious steam, there are pavilions, jade buildings, carved beams and painted buildings, and the scale is very magnificent. At this time, a middle-aged man with gray hair, a dignified appearance, and wearing a purple robe stood with his hands behind his back. He had the majesty of a longtime superior, but if you look closely, it is not difficult to see that his face is a little pale and his lips are a little black. It seems that he has been poisoned, but he is just using his profound cultivation to hold on. Tao sect master, be at ease. In front of him stood a woman in yellow, with a white and smooth complexion and delicate features. At this moment, she crossed her arms, pouted her lips, and stared at him with eyes bigger than copper bells, giving people the feeling of a little tigress who refused to admit defeat. And Zizai's face was gloomy. "Humph, you are so strong now that you don't even listen to your father's words, right? And Miaoyi did not respond, but just stared at him, looking fierce and fierce, with a very tough attitude. After the two looked at each other for more than 10 seconds. And Zizai was defeated and smiled bitterly. Miaoyi, don't be like this. Just listen to me this time and get in touch with Commander Chen. It will be of great help to you in the future. Do you think I, your father, will harm you? Unexpectedly, and Miaoyi covered her ears directly. I don't want to listen, I don't want to listen, I don't want to listen, I don't have any feelings for him at all, so I don't want to take the initiative to contact him, let alone please him. Since you value Commander Chen so much, just go and be with him. As she said this, and Miaoyi blinked her eyes cunningly and made a heart gesture, Dad, your daughter blesses you. Hearing this, the muscles in the corners of Nzizai's eyes twitched. You, what are you talking about? How unreasonable. Chapter 136. C-136 playing hard to get, right? Nzizai brushed down his sleeves and scolded. Look at you now, how can you still act like a son of a man? Do you even dare to make daddy's jokes? Nonsense, my daughter, I'm serious. And Miaoyi pouted and said angrily, anyway, you are so optimistic about the man named Chen, so just stay with him. I will burn paper to my mother afterwards and tell her she has found her Taoist companion again. Seeing that his daughter was getting more and more outrageous, and Zizi was so angry that he was shaking all over and pointed with trembling fingers, you. Ahem. Suddenly, and Zizi coughed violently, and his face became even paler. A stream of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, but it was strangely black. Dad, how are you? And Miaoyi was startled and hurriedly stepped forward to help her, showing a worried look. Don't worry about me, I'm not in the way. And Zizi tried to control the great Jodian, suppressing the poison that was about to move, and said in a bitter tone. A few months ago, Gongzhou was invaded by the three top kings of the Night Clan, the Dark Clan, and the Shadow Clan. They are good at assassination, and they appear and disappear. They specialize in picking out powerful people from the human race. During this period, many people from the Tribulation realm were poisoned. Countless Mahayana realms have fallen, causing huge panic to local sects and dynasties. As the #1 force in Gongzhou, Taoist sect was naturally targeted by them. As the leader of the sect, he almost died in a carefully arranged killing plot by the opponent. Although he was lucky enough to save his life, the strange poison in his body, this kind of toxin, will recur over and over again and is difficult to eradicate. Even the sect's digital Tribulation realm can't get rid of it. And Zizai felt angry and helpless at the same time. Now that the world situation is changing, the only thing he can't worry about is his baby daughter. He hopes that she can find a good support to protect her in this troubled world. But who would have thought that his daughter would be so stubborn and unwilling to have more contact with Commander Chen, which made him very worried as an old father. Miaoyi, please listen to me. The situation is getting worse and worse now. You should consider your own future. Commander Chen of the Eastern Territory Righteous Alliance is young and promising. He is also the Holy Son in the Yuha sect. He is still young. He is a strong person in the Tribulation realm, and he will definitely be the leader of the Yuha sect in the future. I think it will only be a matter of time before he even attains enlightenment and becomes an immortal, because this person has the appearance of a great immortal and is destined to overcome obstacles and achieve extraordinary things on the road of spiritual practice. And Zizai spoke earnestly, with a bit of pleading at the end. Miaoyi, I promised your mother that I will protect you in this life, but now, I am physically injured, and I am targeted by those aliens again. If I do it in the future, if there is an accident, who will protect you? Just listen to Dad. Father. And Miaoyi's eyes turned red and she choked with sobs. Even though she has such a strong-willed and disobedient temperament, it is difficult for her to withstand this offensive of family affection at this time. After all, people's hearts are full of flesh and blood, not to mention that since her mother left, her father is the relative who loves her the most, and she also knows his good intentions. But, does she really want to give up her dignity to be with someone she doesn't like? And Miaoyi was very sad. Before the accident, she felt that the sky was high and birds could fly, and the whole world was colorful. But now, even her father, who used to be a tall figure to her in the past, is helpless and humble in this troubled world. And how insignificant is she who has been sheltered since she was a child? Dad, my daughter, I really can't do it. This is not my temperament. I am still young and there is still a lot of room for improvement. Just give me some more time. And Miaoyi clenched her fists and bit her tongue. Tooth. Looking at this stubborn daughter, and Zizi felt a little dazed, as if she vaguely saw her mother, who was in such a strong posture back then. And Zizi's nose felt sore and she shook her head. It's too late, it's unprecedented in millions of years. Such a big change, the fate of the entire eastern region is unknown, and the situation is developing faster and faster. I'm afraid that before you can grow up, you will hey. Quote. At this moment, a mellow and magnetic voice sounded, Sect Master, Commander Chen wants to see you. Fan Desheng stepped forward and handed over his hand to report. He looked at An Miaoyi, whose eyes were red, and sighed secretly, knowing what happened without even thinking about it. Please come over quickly, Commander Chen. Dad, I'll leave my daughter first. Stop. And Zizi looked majestic and said in an unquestionable tone, you are not allowed to go anywhere, just stand here. You. And Miaoyi stomped her feet angrily. Sect Master N, I have just discussed the countermeasures with the elders of your sect. As long as I am here, I will ensure that all the aliens who commit crimes in the future will be caught in one fell swoop. The speaker was a young man with a handsome face who was wearing a mighty golden armor and a red cloak draped behind his shoulders. He was seen stepping forward, his eyes like the scorching sun across the sky, his majesty and his brows filled with invincible belief. Commander Chen, I was out on business just now, please forgive me. Looking at this young man who has been in the limelight recently, Nzi smiled warmly. What are you talking about, sect leader N? Chen Xiao said seriously, by the way, are you feeling well? If you don't get better, I'll go back to the Yuha sect and ask for some king medicines to heal your wounds and detoxify you. After all, the news that the leader of the Taoist sect was assassinated and poisoned has spread all the time, and he can't hide it even if he wants to. If it's okay, I'd be very grateful. And Zizai's face lit up and he held his hands in hand. The more he looked at Chen Xiao, the more he liked him. He really had both strength and character. He was worthy of being recognized as the righteous leader of the younger generation in the eastern region. It's easy to talk about. Chen Xiao had a smile on his face and said in his heart, old man, you really think too much. Are you going to give you a few medicine kings to extend your life? Die early and be born early. Let's not talk about whether Yuha sect has ancient medicine that can cure this poison. Even if it does, it will not be taken out. The sentence just now was just a polite remark. This is my daughter Miaoyi. You have seen her when you came. She admires Commander Chen very much. I wonder if Commander Chen has time to tell my daughter about your heroic deeds. And Zizai said with a smile. It can be seen that he intends to match the two. Dad, and Miaoyi resisted in her heart and clenched her teeth. Daughter, don't be shy. And Zizai smiled and bit these words hard. Commander Chen looked serious, since Miss An is interested, I have to talk to her nicely. He was secretly delighted in his heart. When he came to the Asking Dao sect, many female disciples cast admiring eyes on him, and even the charming female elders were hinting at him. But who is he, Chen Xiao? How could these women catch his eye? Now, even the daughter of the leader of the Asking Dao sect is attracted by his personality charm. Chen Xiao couldn't help feeling flattered. The Wendao sect is one of the 10 great sects with a profound foundation. If he could take this woman into his harem, the Wendao sect would be his treasure trove of resources. With such a powerful force in hand, he would become the leader of the Yuha sect in the future. Who would dare not listen to what he said? I suddenly remembered that I have something to do, so I'll leave first. You guys can chat slowly. And Zizai greased his feet and left quickly. Master N, take care. Chen Xiao said politely. In the end, only this man and woman were left alone in the garden. Chen Xiao stood with his hands behind his back, his waist straight like a javelin. With his prestige and status, even if he did nothing and stood quietly, many women would come to chat and please him. At this time, Chen Xiao was confident and waited for the eldest lady of the Wendao sect to come and lick him. Because according to the current critical situation, any smart woman would seek the protection of a strong man, put down all kinds of airs, kowtow, and force a smile. Besides, her father was injured and his position was in jeopardy. If a daughter wanted to maintain the situation, she had to take the initiative to get close to him. Therefore, Chen Xiao was naturally aware of Nzizai's intention to bring them together. Come on, come and lick me. As long as you serve me well, I am willing to help you. Now, only I, Chen Xiao, can save your family. Chen Xiao said secretly in his heart. Result, he waited for almost half a minute, but there was no movement. Chen Xiao was a little confused. What's wrong with this woman? Why don't you come to kneel and lick me? I am the commander of the righteous coalition, with the body of the son of the Yuha sect, and definitely a high-quality male of the human race. Can you still turn a blind eye? The air was awkward. Chen Xiao glanced at him quietly and froze in place. And Miaoyi turned her back to him, fiddling with flowers and plants by herself, and didn't take him seriously at all. Chen Xiao was a little angry. Woman, what do you mean? Many thoughts flashed through his mind, and Chen Xiao slowly calmed down, with a wicked smile on his face. Haha, playing hard to get with me, right? Interesting. Since you want to be reserved, I'll take the initiative. Window. Underscore tabula equals window. Underscore tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 times 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet. Target underscore type. Mix. Chapter 137. C-137 Breaking the Defense. Miss N, it seems that you are very interested in flowers and plants. I will collect all kinds of exotic flowers from all over the world and personally send them to you. What do you think? Chen Xiao said softly. And Miao Yi didn't even turn her head. Oh. Chen Xiao frowned. What kind of attitude is this? Miss N is in a bad mood. You can tell me, I am willing to help you solve your problems. Oh, haha, Miss N is really interesting. Why don't we go around? I came to your clan in a hurry and haven't appreciated the beautiful scenery yet. Oh, quote. Chen Xiao broke down on the spot. Oh, your head. What else can you say besides oh? Chen Xiao was very unhappy. Wherever he went, he was the center of attention and beautiful women threw themselves at him. Why is it ineffective now? Could it be that this woman wanted to further arouse his interest in this way? Chen Xiao began to think wildly. And Miao Yi ignored this guy. She always felt that this person had bad intentions, which made her feel very uncomfortable. In addition, her father forced her to contact him, so naturally she didn't have a good face. Huh, and Miao Yi sensed something and suddenly raised her head. She saw a huge monster that covered the sky and the sun approaching the Tao sect. Its terrifying might was rampant and extremely powerful. Is he here? And Miao Yi was very excited. She had seen this familiar mount before. This is. Chen Xiao's heart was greatly shaken when he felt the breath emanating from the creature. A demon emperor in the realm of tribulation is coming. Is this a mistake? In the ancient and solemn hall, Fan Desheng looked at the middle-aged man with his back to him and hesitated several times. Elder Fan, I know what you want to say. Do you think I am doing this inappropriately? And Zizai sat cross-legged and looked at the tablets of the past sect masters in front of him, and said lightly. Fan Desheng said, Master, I just think that with the lady's temperament, it would be too cruel to do this. Cruel, and Zizai shook his head. As a father, I hope my daughter can find a good home. Besides, you know the current situation. Besides, Chen Xiao has achieved so much at such a young age. It is rare in the East region from ancient times to the present. What's wrong with me giving Miao Yi to him? But, Fan Desheng was embarrassed. No buts. I have been targeted by the aliens. I am afraid that I don't have much time left. If I really die one day, who can Miao Yi rely on? She can't be willful anymore. I am doing this for her own good. And Zizai sighed when he felt the strange poison in his body. Master, you will get better. The sect can't live without you. Fan Desheng has followed and Zizai for many years. Hearing these words, he was anxious and uncomfortable. At this moment, there was a huge vibration outside, and exclamations came one after another. Master, there is a demon emperor approaching us. Someone reported in a hurry. Demon emperor. And Zizai's face changed, and he appeared in midair, looking far away. Is this Kun Peng? Seeing the appearance of this creature, and Zizai remembered the records in ancient books, and his heart was greatly shocked. Is it? Why is it here? Fan Desheng, who followed closely, was stunned. Do you know this demon? And Zizai was a little surprised. Fan Desheng smiled bitterly and said, more than knowing it, it is the Mount of Yi Junlin, the master of Piao Miao Peak of Xuantian sect. Mount. And Zizai's lips trembled with fear. Such a powerful existence is just a mount. Are you kidding me? In other words, that man is here. And Zizai was in doubt. In the distance, a clear voice echoed through the sky, as if the voice of the gods sounded in the hearts of countless people. I am Yi Junlin, and I come to visit your sect. Boom. The entire Taoist sect was in an uproar. Who in the East region hasn't heard of Yi Junlin's reputation? He destroyed the Hanging Temple a while ago and raised this Buddhist holy place with a long history. He is notorious. Even the royal family of the Pure Land Kingdom was implicated and was slaughtered by him. Now that it has lost the protection of local strongmen, the Pure Land Kingdom has become a paradise for foreign races and is in darkness. Now, what is the purpose of this famous ruthless man suddenly coming to the Taoist sect as a guest? Countless elders and disciples were worried and began to think wildly. Don't be rude, quickly remove the mountain protection formation and let fellow Taoist Yi come in for a chat. And Zizai weighed the pros and cons and said loudly. He has come here, can we still turn him away? If you really dare to do this, the consequences are unimaginable. Just for that demon emperor level mount, it is enough to give the Taoist sect a headache, let alone the other party's personal attack. Swish. The Dao sect removed the mountain protection formation, and the ancient and vast atmosphere instantly fell silent. Boom. Kunpeng flapped his wings and rushed in with the vast airflow. Countless eyes gathered on this mythical creature, full of shock, worry, suspicion, confusion, awe and other complex emotions. This is the Dao sect, Li Wuji said with emotion. Looking around, there are rolling and majestic mountains everywhere, bursts of white mist, and auspicious clouds, just like a fairyland on earth. I am Zizai, the leader of the Dao sect, and I would like to congratulate fellow Taoist Yi on his visit. And Zizai stood in the void and bowed without daring to neglect. At this time, he could clearly see the scene on Kunpeng's back. It was like a huge moving island, the scale of which was staggering. Good guy, you consider your mount your home, right? Swish swish swish, several figures flashed in midair from far to near. Sect Master N, that's too polite. The leader, Yi Junlin, stood with his hands behind his back and said softly. And Zizai stared closely at the silver-haired young man, feeling his unfathomable cultivation aura, and his heart trembled. No wonder he was able to destroy the Shuangkong temple, this guy is so terrifying. And Zizai was about to speak, but a voice like a nightingale came out, interrupting his words. Master Yi. Seeing Yi Junlin, and Miao Yi was as happy as a little bird and flew over excitedly, not to mention how happy she was. And Zizi's eyes almost bulged out, Miao, Miao Yi, you. Seeing that the sect leader's daughter was very close to the legendary god of death, countless people looked shocked and almost thought they were dazzled. Yi Junlin showed a kind smile. Miss N, we meet again. He was deeply impressed by this woman in yellow, because there was a hint of stupidity in her clear eyes. But now, this symptom has not been eliminated. And Miao Yi felt both anxious and expectant. Mr. Yi, did you come to help us because you heard that Taoism was in trouble? Or did you come to see me specially? Yi Junlin touched his nose and said, ahem, both kinds. In fact, he also wanted to say that it was mainly for the third reason, to successfully sign into your Taoist sect. Etc. The labor and management have arrived at Taoism, why hasn't the system responded yet? Damn, this thing is so unreliable. Yi Junlin secretly cursed. Hear the words. A faint blush appeared on Miao Yi's cheeks, and she said shyly, thank you, Mr. Yi. In Miao Yi's view, Yi Junlin's answer had already explained everything. She was still quite important in his heart. Looking at the red face of the woman in yellow, several question marks appeared on Yi Junlin's forehead. What the hell, are you blushing like a bubble teapot? Elder Fan, is this still my daughter? And Zizai was dumbfounded. In his eyes, his precious daughter is very strong, doesn't know how to adapt to things, has a hot temper, is stubborn, and has violent tendencies. She is usually very playful, but now in front of Yi Junlin, she behaves like a little girl, showing unprecedented tenderness. This made him, as a father, feel a sense of envy and jealousy in his heart. Fan Desheng said cheerfully, Sect Master, don't you see? Miss, she already has her heart set on something. But why does this person have to be him? Looking at the silver-haired young man and thinking of the murder he had committed before, and Zizai's eyelids jumped and his heart felt cold. Actually, you have all misunderstood. Senior Yi is actually a very interesting person. Fan Desheng sighed, thinking of their previous interactions. Because there is a temperament in that person that is incompatible with this world. Yi Junlin. Suddenly, a voice that could not contain his anger came out. Everyone looked at him, their expressions suddenly changing. Chen Xiao dodged and appeared in midair, his eyes fixed on the silver-haired young man. Anger burned in his chest, hatred almost blinded him, and his fists clenched loudly. He didn't expect that this person would come to visit today, but what made him break his guard even more was that Miao Yi, who had always ignored him, actually took the initiative to visit him just now and looked very happy. Why, am I, Chen Xiao, no match for this guy? Chen Xiao was angry and annoyed, and his self-esteem was extremely frustrated. But after a while, he tried his best to adjust himself and sneered, Yi Junlin, you know I'm here on purpose, right? I can only tell you that your tactics are very low level. I am not what I used to be. I am no longer the same person I was back then. Now that we are facing a powerful enemy, I hope you will take care of yourself and contribute more to the human race. Hiss. Everyone hissed and gasped, large beads of sweat spilled from their foreheads. Is this person actually preaching to Yi Junlin, the god of death? Master Yi, and Miao Yi looked worried, afraid that Yi Junlin would not come down. Chen Xiao acted upright and solemn, with a trace of pride flashing in his eyes. He just wanted to stand on the moral high ground and embarrass the executioner. The surrounding atmosphere was very serious and tense, and everyone wanted to see how this god of death could respond effectively. After all, sometimes verbal disputes can better reflect a practitioner's quality and emotional intelligence. At this time, under the spotlight of everyone, Yi Junlin looked at this heroic young man, frowning deeply, rubbing his chin as if in deep thought, and after a long time he issued a soul torture. Who are you? Chapter 138. C-138. What level are you comparing with me? As soon as these words came out, the whole place fell silent. Hong Chenny felt very speechless. After all this time, you don't even know who this person is. Li Wuji exclaimed in his heart, wow, these words are not very lethal, but they are extremely insulting. Chen Xiao was petrified on the spot, his expression was dull, and he almost suspected that he had heard it wrong. What does it mean? Doesn't this guy have any impression of him? Chen Xiao suppressed his anger, and his expression management was almost out of control. He gritted his teeth and said word by word, pretend, keep pretending, don't you remember who I am? Yi Junlin frowned, where did you come from, little jerk, why should I remember you? This brain suddenly jumped out for no reason, and came up to sneer at himself, and acted like he was very familiar with him, which was simply inexplicable. Chen Xiao stared at Yi Junlin's expression, and after confirming that the other party really didn't remember him, his mind exploded, his mentality was directly cracked, and he felt powerless like a fist hitting cotton. He covered his aching chest and felt it was hard to breathe. It turned out that from the beginning to the end, this guy didn't take him seriously at all. Then wasn't his action just pure clown behavior? Ha ha ha. And Miao Yi burst into laughter, bent over and covered her stomach. Her laughter was as crisp and pleasant as a silver bell, and she felt happy from the heart. Her father and Zizai looked at his daughter silently, feeling very depressed. The real master is still here, is it really okay for you to laugh like this? Others suppressed their laughter and cast a pitying look at Chen Xiao. If you put yourself in his shoes, you will feel so embarrassed. Master N, he is from your sect, right? Why don't you take care of him? Yi Junlin looked unhappy. And Zizai was speechless and choked, secretly complaining in his heart, what a joke. How can I be qualified to take care of him? Boom. The anger in Chen Xiao's chest could no longer be contained, and it erupted like a volcano, quickly burning all over his body, with wisps of green smoke coming out of his head. His face was full of blue veins, looking ferocious and terrifying, and he roared with all his strength. This is too much. My father, Chen Yunhai, the leader of Fengli sect, died in your hands. And my master Juyong was also killed by you, have you forgotten all this? The roar resounded in all directions, shaking the mountains. Oh, Yi Junlin dragged out a long tone and said, if you say so, I really have some impression. Although it has been more than 2 years since the last meeting, Yi Junlin has experienced all kinds of eating, drinking, playing, and having fun, and has long forgotten what happened at the time. The reason is nothing else, it takes up memory. Moreover, Chen Xiao's image and temperament are very different from when he saw him before, so it is normal not to recognize him. But now, Yi Junlin finally remembered the identity of this person. It was Chen Xiao, the commander of the Righteous Coalition Army who was in the limelight recently and frequently appeared in the daily newspapers of the cultivation world. This is troublesome. The two most famous people in the East region have a blood feud. I hope they don't conflict. Now that we are facing a powerful enemy, our human race must unite. I think it's difficult. How can the hatred of killing my father be resolved so easily? The people around were whispering and worried. Chen Xiao said hatefully, Yi Junlin, shouldn't you feel ashamed? You are so powerful, but you killed the leader of a small sect. What kind of ability is bullying the weak? Chen Xiao believed that Yi Junlin had been hiding his cultivation before, which attracted the covetousness of Fengli sect. If he exposed his strength at the beginning, who would dare to take the initiative to provoke him? This behavior is definitely a big boss's fish bombing. Shameless. Hearing this, everyone agreed with it and felt sympathy for the victims who were accidentally deceived before. Hong Chenny nodded seriously. As one of the victims, he also felt that the scolding was good. Li Wuji shamelessly shouted, who let your short-lived father be obsessed with the idea of occupying Xuantian sect? My master was just defending himself. He had also heard about the whole story of the incident in Xuantian sect. He could only say that he did not die unjustly. This is how the world works. When you are greedy, you must be prepared to be killed. God, justified defense. Chen Xiao's face was uglier than eating shit. You are a big boss in the tribulation realm. You are waiting for a Jindan realm cultivator to provoke you, and then run over to kill him yourself. How bad is this person to do such a ridiculous thing? Chen Xiao sometimes wondered what his father would think if he knew that he was killed by a big man in the tribulation realm. What about my master Juyong? You killed him too. How do you explain this? Chen Xiao tried his best to occupy the moral high ground, and he was aggressive. Yi Junlin said, "Are you talking about the guy who was looking for trouble at the Shui family banquet? He failed to kill me, and I killed him in the end. To be honest, if someone wants to kill you, are you willing to sit and wait for death? If you are willing, how did you survive until now? Dear Taoist friends, please judge. Did my master really do anything wrong? You know, he was defending himself every time." Li Wuji shouted excitedly. In Li Wuji's mind, the master is a tall and glorious image, without any stains. Even if there are stains, he will distort them into advantages. Yi Junlin nodded secretly. This apprentice is worth it. Unlike someone. Swish, he glanced at Hong Chenny who was watching coldly from the side. Hong Chenny felt a chill in his heart, knowing that he had to do something. He suddenly straightened his chest and said loudly, "Well said." Everyone looked at each other, and it seemed to make sense. After all, there is no explicit rule in the cultivation world that strong people cannot hide their cultivation. Who can those blind people blame for finding faults and being killed in the end? In terms of emotion and reason, this pot cannot be put on Senior Yi's head. Chen Xiao was so angry that he could only blame himself for his bad luck. Seeing this, and Zizai hurriedly came out to smooth things over. You two are both famous strong people of the human race, and you are an indispensable force in maintaining the stability of the eastern region. If you ask me, just put aside the conflict first and join forces to fight against the alien race. This is the top priority. Master An is right. In addition to the monks of the Asking Dao sect, there were many famous masters who were invited to discuss countermeasures. At this time, they all agreed with this statement. After all, one is the commander of the Righteous Coalition Army, with great military exploits, and the other is a powerful killer with terrifying strength. They really don't want to see the two of them clash. Shut up, you have no right to speak here. Chen Xiao shouted angrily. What did you say? Cough cough. And Zizai knew he was humiliated, and subconsciously wanted to scold him. Suddenly, strands of black blood flowed from the corners of his mouth. He took out a handkerchief to cover his mouth and coughed violently. Dad, and Miao Yi hurriedly stepped forward to support the middle-aged man, and then shouted angrily at Chen Xiao, "You bastard! How dare you talk to my dad like this?" The elders around were angry. This was the territory of the Asking Dao sect, and the leader of the Asking Dao sect was scolded by an outsider. Isn't this a slap in their faces? The Holy Sun is just confused because of anger. Please don't blame me, fellow Taoists. In the accompanying team, an old man in gray flashed in front of everyone and bowed slowly. It is worth noting that the aura of his cultivation is extremely terrifying. Holy Sun, let's go. The old man in gray said in a low voice behind Chen Xiao. At this time, Chen Xiao seemed extremely irritable. He felt that he was being played like a monkey from beginning to end. He thought that he was fighting hard enough and had many dazzling halos on his head, so he could face the murderer of his father without losing. But unexpectedly, things went against his wishes. He once again became a laughingstock and was in a mess. Why do you all want to go against me? The thoughts in his mind were like weeds. Chen Xiao's eyes were covered with scarlet bloodshot, his face was particularly hideous, and his aura was extremely disordered. Holy Sun, the gray-clothed old man sensed something was wrong and pressed Chen Xiao's shoulder with one hand to suppress him. His whole body was full of aura, which was actually the perfect cultivation of the tribulation realm. Ever since Chen Xiao came out of retreat, even this supreme elder was alarmed and was willing to accompany Chen Xiao as a protector, which shows how high his status is. Old Lu, I don't accept it, I don't accept it. Chen Xiao roared out of control. Old Lu said in a deep voice, where did your calmness and confidence go before? What are you like now? Don't embarrass yourself here, go back with me. Chen Xiao struggled hard to resist, but after all, Old Lu's realm was high, so he was captured like a chicken and couldn't move. Well, what if you don't accept it? Yi Junlin asked seriously. This sentence completely ignited Chen Xiao's anger, causing him to roar hysterically. Yi Junlin, you shameless man. How many innocent people have been killed by hiding your cultivation? If you have the guts to suppress your realm, let's compete. After refining the true fire of the sun, his sun immortal body has been spotless and flawless, and has truly achieved perfection in a certain sense. With the great magical power he has comprehended, it is simply like adding wings to a tiger. So, Chen Xiao feels that compared with Yi Junlin, the only shortcoming is the difference in cultivation. As long as he suppresses it at the same realm, he can beat this shameless guy in a minute. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. You are worthy of competing with me. What is my identity and what is your identity? How dare you brag so shamelessly? Haha, I think you are scared, right? Chen Xiao stiffened his neck, and his smile was extremely ferocious. Boy, do I need my master to take action to deal with you. I can chop you up with a knife. Li Wuji held the hilt of the knife ready to go, and laughed angrily. Yi Junlin, don't use your apprentice to test me. If you are a man, accept my challenge. Chen Xiao said angrily. Yi Junlin shook his head. If he really fought with such an idiot, it would be called lowering his status. With your level, you are only qualified to fight with a kun now. A kun? Chen Xiao was stunned, wondering, who is a kun? Yi Junlin pointed, it. Kunpeng in the sky made a loud cry, and his golden eyes were as big as the sun, emitting a blazing light. What, you want me to fight with your mount? Chen Xiao was angry and embarrassed. With his noble status, he could only fight with that beast. Chapter 139, C-139 A kun turns into a human. What's that look in your eyes? Do you look down on my kun? Yi Junlin looked unhappy. Kunpeng was also very angry and furious, staring at this arrogant young man wearing golden armor. Chen Xiao sneered. Don't use your mount to humiliate me. What kind of outstanding person am I, Chen Xiao? I actually want to compete with the mount of a shameless person like you. If it spreads, it will insult my face. Yi Junlin mocked. If you're afraid, just say it. No need to make such excuses. Who told you that you couldn't even defeat my apprentice back then? If you want to challenge me now, you can only fight with my mount. Chen Xiao was already furious, but when he heard these words, he was completely changed beyond recognition. The scene of the original fiasco was still vivid in his mind. At this time, the scars were reopened, and he felt a sense of shame of being ripped out of dark history. Haha, Hong Chenny folded his arms and curved the corners of his mouth in a contemptuous arc. Coupled with the natural beauty of the world, it was extremely insulting to male creatures. It's like saying, you can't. Feeling countless sympathetic looks, Chen Xiao was immediately furious, his eyes were about to burst, and he let out a long roar with all his strength. Ah kun, come and fight. Boom, a golden sun suddenly rose, blooming with brilliant golden light on the sky, and there were thousands of powerful rays of light. In this dazzling light group, Chen Xiao is wearing golden armor, with long hair hanging loose, and his whole body exudes a sacred and irrefutable meaning. That kind of posture, that kind of domineering, makes people's hearts tremble, and even their souls are throbbing. He seemed to transform into a dazzling sun, shining on all things. Akun, you have been with me for 2.5 years, and now it's your turn to perform. Yi Junlin said seriously. Kunpeng let out an excited cry. The sound was deafening, making the heads of countless Taoist disciples and elders buzz. Aha! It flapped its wings, stirred up vast air currents, and hit it with unparalleled force, enough to push 100,000 mountains across. Holy Sun, be careful, that beast is a descendant of the ancient divine beast Kunpeng. Old Lu said solemnly. After all, he is the legendary Kunpeng. Even in his juvenile form, his destructive power is beyond the imagination of human monks. Cross-level combat is like eating and drinking. He is one of the strongest. Therefore, Mr. Lu was not sure about this contest, but now that the matter was over, he could only wait and see what would happen. Big Sun Fist. Chen Xiao's fist released thousands of rays of light, containing terrifying power. When he raised his fist and punched it, it was like a brilliant sun falling rapidly, emitting terrible heat that would roast everything. This is an advanced boxing technique at the Zun level. Chen Xiao not only mastered it, but also showed signs of practicing it to the transformation state. Coupled with the sun immortal body, its power is unparalleled. Boom! The power of the explosion produced by both sides was extraordinary, and the majestic energy flow raged wildly, full of destructive aura. Countless people were stunned and frightened. Watching the battle between the two Tribulation Realm players so close up, the visual shock was extremely strong. You beast, let's see how this holy sun subdues you. Chen Xiao felt a huge resistance and roared angrily. He made a secret with both hands, and countless golden mirrors were formed everywhere. Golden light gathered in each mirror, and a terrifying murderous intention enveloped Kunpeng. Mirror ruler kill, a chilling voice echoed. In an instant, each mirror reflected a golden beam of light that was like a bolt of steel. The powerful cracks swept through the air and struck the behemoth in unison. A series of explosive light groups bloomed like fireworks, dazzling. Ha ha ha, how does this feel? Chen Xiao said with a ferocious smile. He specifically targets Kunpeng's huge size, and uses indiscriminate damage spells that hit an absolutely wide range of areas. No matter how powerful the physical defense is, it can't withstand this level of indiscriminate bombing, right? Seeing Kunpeng fall into the exploding ball of light, Chen Xiao knew that he had the upper hand, so he quickly followed suit and continued to use mirror ruler kill. Swish, swish, the ancient mirrors condensed in batches, the mirror surface was shining with golden light, and golden light groups gathered and compressed one after another, and then fired towards the target. Rumble rumble, the light cluster in the sky was extremely blazing, like countless suns exploding. It was so bright that it was difficult to open your eyes. As expected of Commander Chen, who has fought in all directions, his strength alone has frightened so many foreign races. It's so powerful, even the descendants of ancient beasts can be suppressed. He is simply a role model for our generation. The Holy Sun is invincible. Broken sound. Seeing this, many people had to be impressed by Chen Xiao's strength, especially the accompanying team he led, which burst into cheers. Master, Kunken is in danger. Bai Xiaoxi said nervously. Don't worry, Kun is still fine. Yi Junlin smiled. Kunpeng is bound to his mount by the system, so he can sense his vital signs at all times. For example, right now, he can sense that Kunpeng's life is still intact and in a relatively normal state, but it is just a little up and down now. Within the exploding light group, the huge body was vaguely missing, as if it had disappeared out of thin air. Chen Xiao used his spiritual consciousness to search carefully, but could not find Kunpeng at all. Did I blow it up? Chen Xiao said in surprise, feeling very proud in his heart. It turned out that his strength had become so strong that even Kunpeng, who was pregnant with the blood of the ancient beast, was beaten to physical annihilation by him. Yi Junlin, I'm so sorry. I seem to have accidentally killed your mount, ha 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 ha. Chen Xiao looked up to the sky and laughed, his laughter full of half-part ecstasy and three-thirds mockery. Oh, really? Yi Junlin said playfully. A child suddenly appeared, his speed was extremely fast, and he flashed in front of Chen Xiao in an instant. She has a standard middle-parted hair, a cute baby face, and eyes as bright as gems. She looks harmless and very childlike. Bad guy, look at my Kun fist. The childish voice came out crisply and full of determination. The white fist was as fast as lightning, simple and unpretentious, but had a vast and ancient aura, and it hit Chen Xiao's belly forcefully. Bang! His body shot straight up and flew away, smashing into several majestic mountains. The sky was filled with sand and dust, and the destructive power was astonishing. Damn it, you were so careless. Chen Xiao stood up with difficulty, vomiting blood sweetly from his throat, mixed with broken internal organs, and looked at him in surprise. You, who are you? The boy with the middle head was condescending, looking down at this embarrassed young man. He clearly looked like a child, but his whole body exuded the terrifying aura of a ferocious beast, and his body contained explosive power. Face questions. The boy said proudly, can't you tell? I am a Kun who has been following my master for 2.5 years. Chapter 140. C-140. What a big P. Chen Xiao stared at the little boy, his heart was like a storm, and he said angrily, so you are not dead. Pooh, you are dead. The little boy spitted unhappily, with a gloomy expression. You. Chen Xiao gritted his teeth in hatred, and every pore gushed out a blazing golden light. His whole body was shrouded in a sacred halo, and the violent fist force raging in his body was gradually dissolved. However, the golden armor covering his body was broken after being hit by that fist, and hot smoke was coming out of his belly. Recalling the pain just now, Chen Xiao's eyelids twitched and he was still frightened. This treasure armor is at least a third-grade mysterious weapon, which can withstand huge impacts. I didn't expect it to be so fragile in front of the opponent's fist. Boom! A sunken spider web-like pit appeared on the spot, and Chen Xiao's figure rose into the air like a comet. His hair suddenly stood up, and his hair turned into a striking golden color, like a ball of golden flame jumping. Above his eyebrows, there was a mark of the sun, his eyes were golden, and he shot out a golden light that split the sky. The momentum of his whole body spread like a storm, and the sand and stones flew, and the scene was terrifying. Chen Xiao was completely unreserved and started the strongest fighting state. Beast, you dare to play tricks on me. A roar. Chen Xiao's fist was full of power, and he shot out a golden beam of light that was thousands of feet long. The void collapsed with a rumble, which was very scary. Humph, I'm not afraid of you. The little boy punched him, and his small body burst out with tremendous power, and the surging blood and chi steamed from the pores, as if he was going to rebel against the sky. Before, he was too large to be attacked, but now he has turned into a human form, which makes him more flexible and has a lot of room to play in battle. Boom 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 boom, fists collided, explosions were dense, and the majestic energy flow was overwhelming. The two figures fought fiercely, and the battle entered a white-hot stage. Many people were sweating and holding their breath. Come on, Kunken, come on, Kunken, Bai Xiaoxi jumped and shouted. And Miao Yi also clenched her fists and said excitedly, Kunken, you are the best. Hit him hard. After what happened just now, Chen Xiao has become the person she hates the most. Facing this fierce contest, and Miao Yi did not hide her attitude and cheered for the little boy one-sidedly. As the descendant of Kunpeng so strong, he can fight with the Holy Sun to this extent. Old Lu looked ugly, and he had an ominous premonition in his heart. But the arrow has been shot, and there is no turning back. If he rashly stopped it, he would be a laughingstock. Now he can only hope that the Holy Sun can suppress the Kunpeng with force. In fact, what old Lu didn't know was that if it was an ordinary descendant of Kunpeng, with a relatively thin bloodline, it would be possible to be defeated after Chen Xiao opened his strongest form. But the problem is that the little boy, as a Kunpeng, has the most orthodox bloodline of a divine beast and can display the powerful Kunpeng treasure technique. To put it bluntly, his potential is enough to be on par with the ancestor of the Kunpeng clan. What is this concept? It is comparable to the prototype of the strongest person in the ancient times. Therefore, even if Chen Xiao is very strong now, he is eclipsed by the existence with the qualifications of the ancestor of Kunpeng. At this time, the little boy has tadpole-like runes flowing all over his body, containing many mysteries of the world, emitting dazzling and blazing blue light, and looks extraordinary. Chen Xiao became more and more frightened and his scalp numbed as he fought. Thinking that the other party was just Yi Junline's mount, Chen Xiao's mentality collapsed even more. Could it be that I, the dignified son of the Yuha sect and the commander of the righteous coalition, can't be better than someone else's mount in the end? I won't accept it. I won't accept it. Chen Xiao's face was distorted, and he roared hysterically. He raised his hand and condensed a golden holy sword with the symbol of the sun. He swung the sword and slashed it with all his might. The scorching sword light surged. Ha! Look at my Kun fist. The little boy shouted softly and punched out his immature fist. Chila, the fist print tore through the vast sword light, which startled Chen Xiao, and he quickly held the sword in front of him to resist. Boom! Blood flowed from the corners of Chen Xiao's mouth, and his figure retreated more than 10 feet. Before he could adjust, there were dazzling fists in front of him, which almost suffocated him. Damn it! In a hurry, Chen Xiao had to swing his sword to fight back. Every collision made his arm ache and numb, and his blood and chi in his body surged, which was very uncomfortable. The little boy became more and more courageous. His fists were sometimes like a long river, and sometimes like a heavy mountain, constantly disintegrating Chen Xiao's sword power. Gotcha! Soon, the golden holy sword was smashed by a punch. The little boy rushed sideways like a human-shaped beast, his shoulders shaking up and down with some strange rules, causing Chen Xiao to spit blood and his internal organs to rupture. Chen Xiao screamed, and his bloody body flew out like a rag bag, falling heavily on the mountain peak, and a mushroom cloud rose high. Holy Sun! The accompanying tribesmen were so angry that they couldn't believe it. The invincible god of war who had led them to conquer everywhere and was invincible was defeated just like this. He was defeated so thoroughly. And what defeated him was just a mount for people to ride. The mental blow brought by this was really too great. This was not over yet. In front of everyone, the little boy couldn't wait to take off his pants, bare his butt, and urinated directly on Chen Xiao, who fell into the broken pit. The yellow urine poured down on Chen Xiao like a torrential rain. The pit, which was originally several feet deep, was immediately filled with urine, which smelled like urine. Boom! The whole audience was in an uproar. Countless people were stunned and shocked by this coquettish operation. The little boy proudly put his hands on his waist. Hee, how does it taste? The seriously injured Chen Xiao had difficulty struggling and almost choked to death in the urine pit. He even accidentally drank a few mouthfuls and his mind went blank. Hearing the innocent voice above his head, and thinking of being embarrassed in public, Chen Xiao, who had a strong self-esteem, was instantly upset. he was so angry that his eyes turned black and he fainted. So far, the first Tribulation Realm cultivator in history who was soaked in a urine pit has appeared. Fun, fun, the little boy clapped his hands mischievously and said excitedly. Everyone looked weird. It was worthy of being Senior Yi's mount. It was really outrageous. Great, Kun Kun won. Bai Xiaoxi cheered. Ha ha ha, and Miao Yi was amused by this scene, laughing out loud, tears overflowing from the corners of her eyes. Pa pa pa, Yi Junlin clapped his hands and said, live well, live well. Akun, you did a great job. Li Wuji said. Hong Chenny covered her nose in disgust. Oh my god, this smell is so strong. At this time, the old voice exploded like thunder, with anger. Evil beast, how dare you humiliate the holy son of my Yuha sect. Old Lu flashed in the sky, his sleeves fluttering, his powerful momentum was as vast as the sea, his eyes burst out with a fierce murderous intent, staring at the little boy. Defeating Chen Xiao in front of everyone, and urinating in public to humiliate him, for a proud Tianzhao, this is more uncomfortable than killing him. This is so rude, I have to teach you a lesson. Old Lu's eyes were gloomy. In the void, countless black chains extended out, covered with obscure runes, exuding an ancient breath. Go, swish, swish, swish. The pitch-black chains all spread towards the little boy, who froze in fear. Feeling the terrible pressure, he exclaimed, Stinky old man, what are you doing? Suddenly, Yi Junlin flashed in front of the little boy, snorted coldly and waved his sleeves, and the terrifying power burst out in an instant. Countless pitch-black chains were beaten back before they could get close. Old thing, you can't afford to lose, right? You even dare to touch my Akun. Yi Junlin flicked his fingers and said meaningfully, or do you want to fight me? Master. Seeing the silver-haired young man stand up for him, the little boy was overjoyed and became bolder all of a sudden. He pulled his mouth with both hands and made faces, sticking out his tongue at the gray-clothed old man in the distance. Lululu, stinky old man, come and hit me if you have the guts. At this time, the atmosphere was tense, and countless people swallowed their saliva in their throats and looked at the two figures confronting each other in the sky carefully. One is the supreme elder of Yuha sect, and the other is the god of killing who is famous in the East region. If these two people fight, the consequences will be disastrous. Old Lu narrowed his eyes, and when he thought of what the other party had done before, his eyes showed a strong fear. Now is not the time to tear the face, you should focus on the overall situation. You take that waste away first, and wait for the right time to kill again. In his mind, there was a low and hoarse strange voice, which was obviously warning Old Lu. Old Lu remained calm, bowed with both hands and lowered his posture. Friend Yi, I have no intention of going against you. I apologize to you and the young friend behind me. I will visit your sect another day when I have time. I will take my leave here first. As he said, Old Lu resisted the nausea, cast a spell to pull Chen Xiao out of the pit full of urine, and left with him in disgrace. The Yuhuaman team also left. The group of people went from being arrogant to being ashamed and fled in panic. The master is so powerful that he scared the old man away. The little boy said happily. As soon as he finished speaking, the silver-haired young man in front of him turned around suddenly, with a very serious expression and staring at him. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article feed. Placement. Below article feed. Target _type. Mix.